and Kelvin Joseph, name a cornerback that you go, yeah, that guy's on the team. Okay, and with Shamari Connor playing the slot, he's sort of like a safety/corner. So I could go, 5 cornerbacks, 4 safeties, and Shamari Connor is a safety/also cornerback.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a tweener, and then I can keep my 10 defensive linemen, and then I would have 6 linebackers. It's just a matter of, I don't know, like Keith Taylor, I know he's playing a lot of snaps, but that touchdown was his fault. I know he had the interception, but that touchdown was his fault. He did not pass the receiver over and then take the guy coming in his area. He followed that guy, which then created the opening. Shamari Connor took a terrible angle. There's one guy that can block me, so I'm going to go underneath him to try to get the, whoops, he's blocked me, and now that's an angle you take if the guy's at the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Not if the guy's at the 40. You've got to get outside and force that guy back into the inside. But that was Taylor. He ran the route better than the wide receiver did on his interception. He's played a lot. Roland Wallace played a lot in the game. Those are guys that clearly are playing, but I don't look at either of those guys and go, you know what, I'd rather have that guy on the field or on the team over Curtis Jacobs, to be quite honest with you, or Cam Jones, if Curtis Jacobs has made the squad, or Cam Jones. I don't think they're going to let Cam Jones go. He played like 50 snaps in the second preseason game. So Cam Jones, I think, is on the team. So it was a good question about the 6 linebackers and Steve Spagnuolo going, well, we don't really put a number on it. You just don't want to lose good football players. And if you got good football players, then he goes, one year we kept 11 defensive linemen because good football players. I don't think that'll be the case this year. I think they'll keep 10. Although, I've looked at it, there's an element of like after tomorrow night, I may have 26 defensive players and 24 offensive players.
Sure.
Just taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the team and not knowing what offensive player to put on in his place. As opposed to, okay, I can keep 6 defensive tackles, which would be Jones, Turk, Noddy, Farrell, Pennell, and Dickerson.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're only keeping 5 defensive tackles, who are they cutting out of? They like Farrell.
Dickinson, but
Dickerson played almost the whole game, and they like him.
They love Dickinson.
Yeah, Dickerson.
Dickerson.
Yeah, but they like him, though. I mean,
I was thinking Hunter.
Hunter last night,
yeah.
exactly, yes. But they like, or Hunter Strickland was last night, Hunter Dickinson for KU. Yeah. Well, you were there on campus in Lawrence. So
I was
there
in
you go.
Lawrence.
You were walking around looking for Hunter Dickinson. And we were talking to Devin Neal. We were talking to Jalen Daniels and Lance Leipold, and you kept talking about basketball.
Where's Hunter at?
It was weird.
Frank Mason, where's Frank? I was looking for Frank.
Is Devontae Graham anywhere?
Paul Pierce? Is Paul around here somewhere?
Is it Devon or is it Devin? We'll have to find out.
Achan.
There it is. Devon Achan. But, like, if I take Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the team, which I'm going to, has Irv Smith earned his way on the squad? Like, do they like Irv Smith enough to take that spot? What offensive lineman do you put on the team? Like, is Hansen on the team? Is Ethan Driscoll on the team if you take Edwards? So, like, there's a part of me that goes, okay, well, neither one of those guys have earned a spot. So then I can keep Farrell, Pennell, and Dickerson at defensive tackle, who I know they like all of them, as opposed to Irv Smith makes the squad and Dickerson gets cut, or Farrell gets cut, or Pennell gets cut. If they're really talking about we're keeping just good football players, then you can go 26 defense, 25 offense, and that 20 or 26 defense, 24 offense.
Yeah.
And that 25th player being a running back like an Ingram that's on a practice squad. And you can elevate if need be because they only activate 3 running backs anyway on game day. So, I mean, they've done 26-24 before.
Yeah.
But it's typically 25-25. This is
just welcome. We're glad to have you on the 6 linebacker squad.
I'm not there yet.
We're glad to. What can we do on the 6 LB squad to get you over the finish line?
We'll see how Taylor and Roland Wallace look tomorrow night. We'll see how if Taylor comes out and plays really well, then I think he would earn himself a spot on the team. They've played him a lot. So they've given him reps.
So you're saying those two even before a guy like, let's say, Echo Boydo.
Yeah, Echo Boydo's not playing much.
Yeah,
he's not getting much snaps with the second team in practice.
Yes,
and he's not playing much in preseason either. So
yeah,
I think he's a practice squad guy who they probably feel comfortable putting on the practice squad and elevating him if need be because he played reps last year for a team that won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like he played in games. So we'll talk with Adam Teicher. There's still a lot of things to be decided. It's first world problems because the Chiefs are talking about players 49 through 53, and they're not figuring out who their starting offensive linemen are, or who their quarterback is, or what their wide receiver group looks like, or do they even have a number one cornerback? Oh, they got some struggles at safety. Well, they don't have anybody to rush the passer. They've got a huge hole at defensive tackle. Like, these are not things we're talking about. They got to go out and get a veteran. Oh, you better hope somebody gets cut, and you can bring him in on cut down day. You can go find a veteran. We're not talking about those things. We're saying, are they going to keep a sixth cornerback or a sixth linebacker? Do they keep a fourth tight end or a fourth running back? Do they keep Ethan Driscoll as what would be a fifth tackle? Or do they get, like, those are the questions we're having right now.
Though. I will say,
I love it.
Driscoll.
Driscoll's interesting because he's, 7'4"? I think he's 7'4", 420 pounds, it looks like out there.
He's the mountain.
He's a creative player.
Yeah. He's a creative. We talked with Devin Neal yesterday. We're going to play that conversation coming up at noon. And I joked with him that, when I was growing up and playing video games, you would create a player, and you would create yourself, and you would give yourselves all these attributes, and you'd have like 99 of everything. And I said, EA Sports did that for you, Devin, because he is a national phenomenon on EA Sports College Football 25 in that he's maybe the best running back in the game. And he's untackleable. And it's like, he's really good. Like, he's going to be drafted next year. He's one of the top 10 running backs in the country.
Yeah.
He's a top 100 player no matter what ESPN says with their top 100 list, which I loved. They put out their top 100 list, and then they ask different college football analysts of who did they miss, who should be on there. And like almost all of it, how is Devin Neal not on this list? How is Devin Neal not on this list? I didn't ask him about that because I know it was a sore subject.
Sure.
Because he tweeted about the fact that he wasn't a top 100 player. Kobe Bryant was, and Jalen Daniels was
Kobe Bryant deserved it too. He's a very good corner for
they deserve.
the
I'm not saying they didn't deserve it, but Devin Neal is a top 100 player in the country. I mean, you're not going to come up with 100 players and not have Devin Neal on that list in the country.
Were you surprised, and maybe not, just how sturdy Devin Neal was?
Well, he's a running back in Division I.
No, I get it. But like,
he's a pretty.
Hey, you have expectations. I'm just saying the shoulder width, just in general, like.
He doesn't look that big on TV, but when you
correct.
see him up close,
that's
in
true.
person,
That was my point. I was like, dude, this guy is.
He's a big dude.
How do you tackle? You can't go high.
And Highshaw's
You ain't going high on that guy.
bigger.
Yeah, right. And so, like, Quinshaw Judkins at Ohio State, transfer from Ole Miss, is like the best running back in EA Sports College Football 25. And then Devin Neal. And so we had some fun with him yesterday talking about that. So we'll play that conversation coming up at noon. 913-912-4810 is a text line. Adam Teicher, 11 o'clock. Devin Neal at noon. We'll catch up with Todd Lebo coming up this afternoon. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour, and we'll get an update to our ZOUs with just a few weeks left to go in, 6 weeks? 5.5 weeks left to go in the regular season. We'll update our ZOUs, see where we're at. There's one person of the four that is in the clear that cannot lose, and there are three of the four that could, but really two of the four are in danger. So really,
where am I at? Am I American Century Championship good, or am I?
I'm not going to tell you.
The one.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you if you're 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
I feel good.
It's not about winning the ZOUs. It's about not losing. You don't have to be the fastest swimmer. You just can't be the slowest. Okay?
I feel strong.
Unless there's multiple sharks, then you get on your horse.
I already have my
swim.
celebratory beer out,
Good
apparently.
for you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that's how the show lines up today. Let's talk some Royals. They lose last night. They get a chance to win the series today. I know we talked yesterday, and I even said I don't want to get greedy and say sweep the Angels, so I'll say 2 of 3. And Sterling, you said, no, let's get greedy. And I love it. They won 5 in a row. There's no reason to not think get greedy. But I wanted to be a realist and say, let's see if they can, win 2 of 3. I really thought the loss might be today, even though Tyler Anderson's a fantastic pitcher. But Cole Reagan's going to the mound. The way he had been pitching, the way the Royals have been playing, I felt pretty strongly about last night being a win for the Royals. It wasn't. Tonight should be a win for the Royals. With Johnny Cueto on the mound, Michael Lorenzen has pitched well. Johnny Cueto welcoming back to Kansas City, having some fun with that. But the Royals should take care of business tonight before getting the off day and starting a really tough stretch of baseball. Yeah, that's right. Johnny Cueto's back. Dude. I don't think people have any idea how much I annoyed my previous audience, well, in general, but the audience in Louisville when I was on the air during the 2015 postseason run, and how often I played this song. Just didn't. I didn't care. I'm
Johnny
like,
Baseball.
look, I don't care if you guys are enjoying this, but I'm having a blast. Damn it, Johnny Cueto's on the mound tonight. Let's go. Now, he was a Red. They got him from the Red, so there were a lot of Cueto fans still in the area. So they were having some fun watching along. There were some Johnny Gomes fans because he was from the Red, so he was a fan favorite. So there were actually a number of people in the area that were like, man, I'm rooting for your Royals. Let's go. I don't think they're rooting for him anymore after this past weekend, but no. I think that's kind of gone. But Cueto comes back tonight. Michael Lorenzen on the mound. Hopefully the Royals can take care of business, take 2 of 3.
They have Lorenzen, so maybe now the Reds do still like the Royals because they have Michael Lorenzen.
And it's just, that's right. That's a good point. But take care of business tonight and then get ready for the Phillies this weekend, which, by the way, when we talk about how pitching matchups line up, the Royals will be facing the Phillies without Zach Wheeler or Aaron Nola. They'll miss both those guys. So it ain't like the Phillies are throwing out the 3 of us, but their number 1 and 2 won't be pitching this weekend against the Royals. So
Huge.
That's at least a break. You play the Phillies for 3 games and you don't see Wheeler or Aaron Nola. That would be their 1 and 2 starters in the playoffs, and you don't see either of them. That's a big deal. So we'll see what they do tonight. Let's look at last night. Disappointing. It's baseball. How do we feel coming out? I mean, obviously it's disappointing because they didn't win that game, but one of those baseball things where 60-mile-an-hour hits are finding holes, and it's just like one of those, it's just not your night. You get a couple of guys on, and you can't get them home, or you've got set up second and third. You got a couple of guys that can drive in some runs, and they have some pretty rough at-bats trying to do too much maybe. Last night is kind of a night that happens in the course of a season, and if they go and play good baseball the next month, we may not even remember that last night happened. It's kind of one of those things. Frustrating because Reagans was on the mound. Also, it would have been his 11th win, which there's only one of the 4 of us that had the over Cole Reagans 10.5 wins.
That was you, yeah.
He's got 2 thumbs and had Cole Reagans over. I need one more win. One more win. I thought it was coming last night. So how did we feel? Let's just put that into perspective real quick. Last night's game specifically, and then I want to talk about some other things that took place. And I want to look at Paul DeJong as well and the usage from Matt Quattrero.
I think you do just have to chalk it up as it is baseball. These are still pro teams, as bad as the Angels are, as even some of those guys that were run out there last night you might have not heard of going into that game. But this is the big leagues, and it can happen on any given night. Sometimes you have some bad luck, and there were a handful of bad luck moments for the Royals and the Angels, even though Tyler Anderson is not seen as an all-star. He was their all-star this year. So that's the ace of the Angels' rotation, and Cole Reagans has faced some bad teams before, some bad lineups, and the Royals have lost. They faced Oakland in Oakland. They lost that start. Faced the Rockies in Colorado. They lost that start.
He's the opposite of Singer.
It's
I mean, honestly,
weird.
he's gone to the mound. What did we say? It was 8 times he's had to be the stopper, and
Yeah.
the Royals are 6-2. He's gone to the mound 3 times when the Royals are trying to avoid a sweep, and they're 3-0.
Yeah.
Just like
Angels, though? No.
Angels,
Man.
The Angels, he's given
Rockies,
up 12 runs this year against them.
that's
He was
right.
Bad in Anaheim.
Angels, Rockies, A's. He's like, we're good. We're good. This one's fine. Got to buckle down. Here comes 7 innings of 1-run ball.
And I think the all right part of this game, even though a loss is never going to feel good this late in the season, especially against a bad team, they didn't throw any of their good relievers out there. Chris Stratton, we know, is the game is not out of control, but it's certainly not a high leverage spot. Angel Serpa, same thing. Will Smith, same thing. Those are 3 of the guys who had the highest ERAs post the All-Star break of like 25 relievers in the bullpen. That came from Royals Review I just saw moments ago. So that's why they're used in spots like that. The game is not a high leverage situation. You're trying to save Lucas Erceg. And last night, Garrett Hampson's dropping pop-ups in the outfield and misplaying balls in center field. He's grounding into double plays. Hunter Renfroe had a bad night at the plate despite his 1 RBI single, which kind of was good fortune, too, for the Royals because it wasn't hit hard. But that's just baseball to me. It was an ugly game. They had won 5 in a row. Maybe you're just playing odds at that point. That it's you're not going to get 6 in a row. You'd hope to get 6 in a row. But as you guys brought up yesterday, you want to get greedy. You want to say they can win 7 in a row going into the Philly series. But tonight, now it just becomes you have to take it. You can't lose when Johnny Cueto, who hasn't pitched in the big leagues in a while, and when he did, wasn't very good, he can't come into Kansas City, even if it's against Michael Lorenzen, or I don't care who would be on the bump for the Royals. The offense has to tag him tonight. This has to be a rocking chair type game where it's 8-1 by the 5th inning, and you just relax and then have your off day on Thursday and welcome a Philadelphia Phillies team that, yes, is still one of the powerhouses in the National League, but has struggled a little bit in the second half. So tonight becomes far more of a you need to come out there from the get-go and dominate this team, because last night that's just something they didn't do. They were kind of flat early on, tied things up, but then things spiraled away from some bad locations, some lack of strikeouts in the 6th inning. It led to, a handful of runs for the Angels.
I want to real quick amend something because looking at it now, this is my fault. I thought the Phillies were off tomorrow. They are not off tomorrow. The Royals are off tomorrow. So Wheeler went last night. Nola goes tonight. They play tomorrow and then start the 3-game set against the Royals. So they will see Wheeler on Sunday.
With Lugo, too.
With Lugo, yeah. So they miss Nola, but they do say, I thought the Phillies were off tomorrow. My bad.
Garrett
changes a little bit, but still, go out and just take Friday and Saturday's game. Just take care of Friday and Saturday. It's all good. Beat the Phillies that way. Go ahead.
Hampson was one scoop. The bullpen was the other scoop.
I think Hampson was
two. They
and
combined
the bullpen was
to be 2 scoops of ass.
No. Hampson dropped a fly ball, misplayed a fly ball, and misplayed a double into a triple.
Dog.
Maybe a great play by Isbell into a triple and double plays. He was 3 or 4 scoops.
Dude,
he was a double scoop.
I have seen beer league softball players take better routes than Garrett Hampson.
I've seen Magellan take a better route to a body of land.
And again, this is one of those games that happens. You're not gonna win every single game, even against bad teams. Tyler Anderson gave up 12 hits, and the Royals have been great with runners in scoring position all season long.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a game where they struggle. They struggled. They still scored 5, but overall they left a lot to be desired, and they've been great all season long. It happens. The bullpen, though, continues to give me a lot of cause to pause, because any type of close game
Gives me heartburn.
you can have a great player in Ursig. That's only one guy. MacArthur, 3 hits. Chris Stratton threw, 36 pitches before he got an out or something? It was something insane. I mean, he was getting just shelled. Anel Zerpa, brutal. Will Smith, brutal yet again. It's just... And again, these aren't their 4 main guys by any means, but Sam Long's been struggling. It's not like they have a guy they can go to. Schreiber had one outing, and we're all like, yeah, I guess he's the second best pitcher in the bullpen now. What? You know how concerning that is?
It's pretty concerning.
Again, Ursig's great. It's just one guy. If the starter's not going 7 innings, and Reagans, again, didn't pitch horrible in this game. He gave up 3 hits. He left with 3 runs given up before the gas can started to come in.
Mm-hmm.
He had 9 strikeouts. The walks were, again, not great, 3 walks. But he didn't get any help from the defense. I mean, it's just, if the starters are not going 7 innings, the Royals are kind of screwed. If the starters are not going 7 innings and it's a 1-run game, how much faith do you have that they're going to all of a sudden win that ball game? Not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it happened on Friday, though, right?
Because Ursig came in with 1 2/3.
Well, that was on Sunday. Friday, with Michael Lorenzen, went to 5 2/3, was able to go to Chris Bubich, and then I think it was it Sam Long after that? They eventually pulled away in the 9th, and James MacArthur got to come in a blowout game. But I just, I think there are 4 guys right now you can somewhat trust. That would be Schreiber, that would be Ursig as your 2 righties, and then Bubich and Long as your lefties. Then you're kind of just hoping that if Will Smith takes the mound or Chris Stratton takes the mound and it's in a 1-run, a 2-run situation, they can do their job. Now, more often than not, that's not going to be the case, and I'd much rather them have their off nights like last night when it was 3-2, 5-2, and you still felt like you'd have a chance late in the game, rather than the Royals leading 4-2 and you have to go to Stratton or you have to go to Will Smith or you have to go to Serpa and they blow that game. We saw that in the St. Louis series. They had to go to those guys and they blew that game. And I think the only thing that gives me a little bit of relief is that if you look at the second half ERAs for bullpens, the teams that the Royals need to worry about, Boston, Seattle, and Minnesota, all have higher bullpen ERAs than the Royals at this point. And that makes me believe that the Royals are one of those teams out there. Yes, a playoff team, but one that is dealing with maybe some bullpen fatigue. I think the Royals not necessarily have bullpen fatigue. I just don't think they have enough good guys in the bullpen.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota has bullpen fatigue. I think Cleveland has bullpen fatigue.
Cleveland
They've
does.
been great all season
Yeah.
long. Boston, bullpen fatigue. They've been dismal. They can't keep any lead late except for last night, but they've given up God knows how many runs. Their ERA is well over 6 from that bullpen. So that gives me a little bit of hope of, look, the Royals can have a night like last night where they struggle and you don't feel confident, but I can't say Red Sox fans or Twins fans or Mariners fans at this point in the season are going, we'll just get the game to our bullpen in the 7th inning, because I think there's a lot of teams out there that have that shaky bullpen, and they might have one big dog in the bullpen like an Ursig. The Mariners have Andres Munoz, but he struggled.
He
Blew the game last night.
he
He
did.
blew one in Detroit.
I think like 3 of his last 4, he's got a blown save.
It's been bad.
He's been struggling. Now he's on my fantasy team. I'm already out of it anyway, so it doesn't matter. I would have been a little
Jason,
more.
this was your year.
It was my year. If it wasn't for Strider, oh my elbow. Yuri Perez, oh my elbow. Mookie Betts, oh my hand. I mean, come on, guys. Are you professionals or not?
Are you hurt or are you injured?
I mean, I feel like they were just hurt, but they were playing injured. Strider, oh, I don't think it's going to be a good year. I'll just take the year off and get elbow surgery. Yuri Perez, oh, the Marlins aren't going to be good this year. I guess I'll save some, pitches and innings on my arm. I'll just have Tommy John surgery for the heck of it, just for fun, because most people do have Tommy John for fun. Mookie Betts, oh, the Dodgers can do just fine without me. I'll take a pitch off my hand from a guy that I don't even remember his damn name. All I remember is his stupid goatee.
Jim Rome.
Whatever
I think
his
a
name
goatee. I think a Jim Rome.
Whatever his name is.
So
who
who
do you-
Ben Joyce?
Who do we,
That was nuts.
Ben Joyce is nasty.
105, 105, then change up 103.
I wonder what
I'm
105
being facetious.
looks like.
It wasn't 103. It wasn't a
You
change up.
see it?
105, 105, 103. The hottest player on the planet right now, Bobby Witt Jr., and it was by him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I that was insane.
I was wondering why teams weren't more interested in him. He went in the 3rd round to the Angels, signed for $1 million. He was throwing 104 at Tennessee. Like, he was one of those guys at Tennessee that was like, wow, Tennessee's got crazy arms in their bullpen. These guys are throwing, they got like 3 guys that are throwing 100. They got this dude, I don't remember his name, but he's throwing like 103, 104. Yeah, it's Ben Joyce, and he's drafted in the 3rd round, signed for $1 million. And he's in the big leagues throwing 105.5, which is, it's what he's the fastest pitch he's thrown this year. Like, or it's fastest pitch in college baseball history was 105.5.
Major League history?
No,
5.5, my bad.
Oh
Aroldis Chapman still has
It is
the fastest.
107 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But 105.5 is the fastest in college baseball history, and he did that, and he went in the 3rd round. Like, it's like, well, yeah, he's a bullpen arm only, and I guess you don't need 6 years of a guy that can throw 105. Like, I don't know. It was surprising that he went in the 3rd round as it is, signed for $1 million over slot. But you look at it and go, man, that Ben Joyce, would be nice to have a guy like that. Well, then draft him.
His average fastball, 102 this year.
I would guess the only concern going into the draft was, can his arm hold up? Or
Yeah,
maybe it
for
was
sure.
they didn't know if they wanted to try a 3rd rounder as just a reliever. They wanted to see if he could be a starter, because Garrett Crochet kind of had that coming out of college. The White
Sure,
Sox
true.
just put him right in the bullpen in the COVID year. And then it wasn't until this year they said, well, we're going to be bad. We might as well try him as a starter. And it's worked out. But no, the Angels need to make a decision sooner rather than later, because we know about relievers and their shelf life. There's no guarantee Ben Joyce is this good next year. There's no guarantee he stays this healthy. So I'm shocked they didn't try to go get a haul for him at the deadline, because they
Agreed.
absolutely could have.
Well, I don't know much about Mason Barnett. I have no idea. He was taken 2 spots in front of Ben Joyce by the Royals pitcher. I don't know. Maybe he'll turn out to be awesome. And you'll be like, what a great Ben Joyce is on his 2nd Tommy John surgery, and Mason Barnett is a stud. But he had Ben Joyce had Tommy John at Tennessee already, and so there was concern. But man, he's dynamite too. Just watching him pitch, like Bobby's up there, like fastball's coming, but it's an optical illusion because it looks like it almost skipped at the end. Like it was coming in and then it skipped even faster.
It's
Like
a funky arm angle too,
Yeah, dude,
and he's big, so
it's
I'm
just-
sure he's stretching down
Right.
the mound. That they always said that about Chris Young being 6'10", that
Yeah.
it came in a lot faster. I don't know how 105 looks faster, but I'm sure it did to Bobby Wood Jr.
it does.
last
Like
night.
I've always said, it felt like an optical illusion. I watched when Max Scherzer was at Mizzou. We went to a game they played up at T-Bones before the
Oh, yeah,
Monarchs.
yeah.
And it was KUMU, and it was like 30 degrees. It was terrible conditions. So there were like 10 people there in attendance. But Scherzer was pitching, so we're like, you know what, let's go watch. And we got front row right next to the first base dugout. So we're like sort of catty corner. And I'm telling you, that pitch got almost to the batter's box. And then it looked like it just gained like 5 miles an hour. And I looked at my brother and I'm like, oh, that's different. Oh, that's why he's a first-round draft pick. That's different. Now, he only pitched 2 innings because his arm was hurt.
That's spin rate right there. That's
Dude,
RPMs.
It was every other pitcher that was out there. It's like, oh yeah, they're D1 pitchers, and then Scherzer was like just skipped even faster, like sped up at the end. It's like that. I know it's not speeding up at the end. I get it, but it looks that way. And how in the hell can a college kid hit this?
Yeah.
But like that's what Ben Joyce looks like. It's what Ursig sometimes looks like when he's got that, and he's got that late movement on it too. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to ask which relievers we can trust. Maybe it's only one, but I do want to ask that. Who's in the circle of trust? Is there somebody teetering on the circle of trust that they've almost got your trust? There's a number of people that have been kicked out of that circle of trust. I know that. And then I want to look at the splits for Paul DeYoung to see how Matt Quattrero may use him moving forward compared to how he's used him so far. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. hour as well. Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. We got an update to the ZOUs. Who do we trust in the Royals bullpen? Obviously, Urseg. So we'll set that aside. Urseg is in the circle of trust. He's right square in the middle. In fact, he's like, he does have the ring. He's our precious. Precious.
He
it's
is
Urseg.
the circle of trust.
Yes, that's exactly right. Is there like a full trust? Is there like a Venn diagram of trust to where there's somebody like in the middle of I trust him and I kind of don't? It's weird because I'm cautiously optimistic to trust Schreiber. If Joel Goldberg's report is as accurate as Schreiber would be letting him know how accurate it would be, just how much do you trust Schreiber's words of, man, I've been dealing with this issue all season long, and I haven't felt like myself, and now all of a sudden I'm walking around going, well, this feels different. Oh, wait, I can do whatever I want now. Hopefully that's the case, and he looks like he's looked like in the past. Bubic, I still trust him more than other guys. But right now it's sort of Urseg, and then there are guys that are straddling the line of maybe sort of like the NCAA bubble. There's the bubble square on the bubble. There's the bubble inside looking out, and you're on the bubble on the outside looking in. Bubic is on the inside looking out. MacArthur's square on the bubble, maybe on the outside looking in a little bit. Long is square on the bubble. I think Sam Long is square on the bubble of like I trust and I don't trust. MacArthur's on the outside looking in, but there's a level of trust lately. Schreiber maybe more on the inside looking out because there's a history of how good he can be. We've seen that before. But I think the only one that's actually in the tournament, if we want to go the same, analogy metaphor, is Urseg. The other guys that I didn't mention there, they're on the outside. They got work to do.
They're far from the bubble.
They got work to do.
They're the needle.
Exactly right.
Ursig is
they
a
gotta
1.
win. They got to win the conference tournament to get in.
Ursig is a 1.
Yeah.
I'll say Chris Bubic is the play-in game. He's
Okay.
the 11 seed.
All right. Yeah.
Like I feel like I trust Bubic.
It's a one
Dayton.
bid. We got a one
He's a
bid
Dayton.
league right now.
He's a Dayton. Yeah, he's a Dayton.
The Royals bullpen is a one bid league.
Schreiber, I need to see more of. It's almost like a
I know.
like a DNF, did not finish.
It's wishful thinking that okay, well maybe
MacArthur is a maybe it's a snub, but he's not in yet.
he needs to win 2 games in
He's
the
got to win
conference
at
tournament.
least 2 games to get
Conference
in.
tournament to get in.
And then Sam Long, ever since I was so enamored by
know.
him, he's just and the ERA looks good, so it actually helps my case. Like, oh, he's got a 2.57, but it's a lot of the inherited runners.
Right.
It's the situations he comes in on where it's like, okay, guy on second, and it's a lefty-lefty matchup. Well, you give up that single, that runner scores, goes to the starter or the other pitcher, and then you get out of the inning.
Like MacArthur gave 3 hits, no earned runs.
No
for
one
MacArthur.
runs, and you're like,
Oh, hey, look at that, MacArthur. He put some guys on base, but he got out of it.
it doesn't tell the full picture here, and
right.
Zerpa's the same way, and Zerpa's ERA is ballooned.
Zerpa's going backwards so fast.
Sam Long is close. The strikeout numbers are decent.
Mm-hmm.
You see it with him at times, but ever since I really got enamored with him, I was trying to push for the Sam Long train. Hop on. He's let me down.
Yeah.
I think that, of course, Lucas Ursig's in a league of his own. I mean, when he takes the mound, you just know he's getting out of that inning. He's getting out of that jam, or he's just going 1, 2, 3 against whoever he's facing.
There's a full confidence, even though we all acknowledge there's going to be a game or two the rest of the way that he gives up runs.
Yes, he'll have a bad outing because he had a few. In fact, he wasn't good against the Royals when he was in Oakland.
Right.
He gave up a pair of runs, and I'm like, man, this was the guy I wanted. I don't want him anymore, and I'm glad I was wrong.
Right, but maybe it's taken on the role of I'm the guy now. Maybe there's the extra confidence that he's going out there going bleep you. I'm the bleep. But anyway, yes, Urseg is fully trusted.
I didn't want him to go in last night, but I did think to myself if he came in with the bases loaded, because MacArthur came in and then it was it was Stratton, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's a 5-2 game. It wasn't worth doing it.
Yeah.
But I did wonder if Lucas Ursig comes in that spot against that lineup, if he just gets out of that with these. I did think to myself a little bit, but I'm glad they didn't use him. So he's in a league of his own.
Yeah.
Then I look at Chris Bubic and say I think he's firmly in the circle of trust. He gave up the home run to Neto in game 1, but then looked really good right after that. I think that was almost, his fault of thinking he could just sneak a first pitch fastball right by Zach Neto.
Reagan's also gave up a home run to Neto to the Royals Hall of Fame. So I mean,
it felt like that.
Neto has hammered the Royals this year.
Yeah.
Him and Joe Adell.
They've done a great job against whoever they're facing with the Royals. But Bubic, to me, next to Ursig, has the best pure stuff. in the bullpen. And I think when you look at Macatrero, how quickly he went from we're going to get him some work in a 10-1 game in Colorado, which was his season debut, to we're putting him in a one-run situation, or we're saving him to close out the game. That shows me that he's been in the circle of trust for a while. And I think it's more than just the recency bias of he's looked really good. I think it's that his stuff gets a lot of bad swings. And whereas last night, here comes Chris Stratton, here comes James MacArthur, here comes Angel Serpa, here comes Will Smith. None of those guys can strike anybody out. Yeah. So I just look at pure strikeout numbers, and therefore I'm going to go Erceg, I'm going Chris Bubic, I'm going Sam Long. Sam Long, I think because of the rain, and I don't think if it was pouring when he's out there, he looks as bad as he did.
He looked uncomfortable.
Now, he was kicking at the dirt.
There's maybe excuses built in, but he looked uncomfortable.
To your point on Chris Bubic, the underlying metrics are absolutely phenomenal for Chris. The expected batting average against is 194. His expected ERA is 1.92. His chase percentage, average exit velo, strikeout numbers, walk numbers, hard hit percentage. I mean, like everything that it's all just bright red. Like Chris Bubic, again, smaller sample size. Take a drink.
Appreciate it.
It just shows that he has actually even been better than the 2.51 ERA. The fastball for him seemingly is up to 93.3. I know Lesky put out something, it was actually a year or two ago. When he sat at 91, 92, dude was getting shelled.
Yeah.
When he was getting to 93, all of a sudden he became an actual viable, that fastball became viable. It's weird that's just that 1 mile per hour, but it was a huge difference for him. I think you're right. I think maybe I needed to take a little deeper dive into Chris. Maybe I'm just have the last couple of outings stuck in my head, but he's no longer the 11 seed play-in game. I'll say he's a 7 seed.
See, I think he's on the inside looking out. I think Schreiber's. Did I say Schreiber and Long are on the bubble? I think is the way I described it. But Bubic is on the inside looking out. MacArthur's on the outside looking in. And then the rest of the guys are just on the outside.
It was Mizzou last year.
The rest, Carlos Hernandez is Mizzou trying to win a conference game. But I mean, to your point about Bubic, like his 2 Ks after he gave up the home run, he got the ground out. Those were the first 2 pitches, home run and out.
Yeah.
And then he strikes the next 2 guys out, and both of them were strikeout looking. Like that, there's something to that, to where it's like, those guys are thinking something else is coming. And you pinpoint a fastball, and both of them were fastballs. It's not Ben Joyce fastball where you're watching it go right down the middle. It's fastballs that were painted, one on a 3-2 pitch, and that's I like what Chris Bubic can do. He comes in, gives up a home run, and immediately it's like, oh look, there you go, Bubic. can't even trust him. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about the splits with Paul DeYoung, and then we'll talk with Adam Teicher at 11 o'clock. More Zone next. All right, I want to look at Paul DeYoung's splits, and we know that he's got reverse splits. He's a right-handed hitter that hits better against righties than he does against lefties. The question, though, moving forward is, we know that Quatraro loves his lefty-righty matchups, whether that's as a pitcher to a hitter or pinch-hitting guys to come in and face the opposite-handed guys on the mound. But Paul DeYoung, in 28 at-bats against right-handed hitters this year for the Royals, he's 10 of 28. It's pretty good. 10 of 28 for Paul DeYoung. He's got 3 home runs and 2 doubles. 5 of his 10 hits are extra base hits. He's got 2 walks, and he has struck out 8 times. All right, so 8 strikeouts and 28 at-bats. But he's 10 for 28 with 3 home runs, 2 doubles. Against left-handed pitchers, he's 2 for 14 with 2 singles and 6 strikeouts. So half the at-bats, yet 6 strikeouts compared to 8 against right-handed hitters. I bring that up because it was one of the things we knew about Paul DeYoung coming over, and my concern was Quatraro and how he would utilize him. Would he just have him out there against lefties? That hasn't been the case. He's got double the amount of at-bats against righties as lefties. Yeah. But looking through the game logs and looking back to he's been pinch hit for 3 times against a right-handed hitter for a left-handed bat. Twice for Adam Frazier.
Boo.
Quatraro's taken Paul DeYoung out of the game against a right-handed hitter to put in Adam Frazier.
Boo.
That's the concern I have moving forward with the Paul DeYoung, and wonder if Quatraro adjusts his own mindset, because they've got these numbers, right? They know what he's doing against righties and against lefties, and I hope we get to the point to where it's a righty on the mound and you've got DeYoung up there, and Quatraro doesn't go, well, I got Frazier there, so let me go and pinch hit for Adam Frazier. No, let me let the guy who mashes against right-handed hitters hit against a right-handed hitter, as opposed to Adam Frazier, who has professional at-bats, but is not a guy that you're going, well, heck, I mean, this is a lefty against a righty. Let me put this. You're not bringing in Massey off the bench or even MJ Melendez off the bench. It's even more of a stark split since he's been with the Royals that it's been all year, in the fact that he's got every one of his extra base hits are against right-handed hitters, and the 15 strikeouts that he has, 7 of those are against lefties, and 8 of those are against righties.
Yeah, it's a little perplexing because you're right, they have these numbers. It's why MJ Melendez now, again, different because it's lefty-lefty.
I think he's been using MJ really well.
Yes, but that's my point.
Couple of months.
Because MJ Melendez for this season is batting 111, slugging 111 in 54 at-bats against lefties, right? So they just scrapped that from the get-go. Yeah. After 54, they go, we're done. Yeah. This ain't going to work, right? Now, it's different because that's lefty-lefty.
Right.
And that's the struggle. But I know it's untraditional, but what Paul DeYoung has done against righties, what he does against lefties is basically MJ Melendez.
Yeah. I mean, he's 2 of 14 with 6 strikeouts and 2 singles against lefties. So, I mean,
which is 133 average and a 133 slug.
As opposed to 10 for 28.
Yes.
With 3 home runs and 2 doubles. So, right, Jack?
I don't understand it, but we're going to roll with it.
We'll see. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Jack Johnson, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. Coming up at noon, we will hear from KU running back Devin Neal. And then about 12:30 or so, we'll talk with Todd Lebo. He'll hang out with us in the noon hour. Right now, let's talk some football with Adam Teicher joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Twin Peaks. Step up your lunch game and enjoy your next lunch break at Twin Peaks. Adam, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
Good, Jason. How you doing today?
I am doing just fine. As you look at this 53-man roster, and we're 6 days away, 6 days and like 4 hours away from the 53-man roster having to be cut down from 90. If you look at it through the Chiefs' perspective and your time covering the Chiefs, how much of the picture in terms of the 53 men do you think is painted already, and how much do they still have to decide over the next game and then couple practices that they have before they have to get down to the 53? Is it almost pretty much set what they think the 53 men are going to be outside of injury?
Yeah, it is. And certainly an injury could change, or more than one injury could change the picture. But they've been the myth of a guy saving himself with a great final preseason game, I think, is really just that. I think mostly that's a myth. They've been seeing these guys going back to OTAs and every day in camp, and they've already had 2 games now. So, it's more of a bigger picture thing than what happens on, get Thursday night against Chicago. So, no, I think the 53 is pretty much set in their minds. There may be, a tweak or two they might make depending on, a change of heart or something like that. But I think they know where they're going.
If there were somebody there on the Chiefs tomorrow night against the Bears that could make a case and maybe make the team, is there a player or two that comes to mind that, can go out there and put on a good show, and the Chiefs maybe are sitting there 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, teeter-tottering back and forth, and that guy would make a difference in a game, a play here or there?
Yeah, I think the one spot you might want to look at for that is cornerback. You heard Steve Spagnuolo talking yesterday. They're really searching. I mean, part of it's because of injuries. And Nazeeh Johnson hadn't practiced a whole lot, and so he's been out. Kelvin Joseph missed some time. Josh Williams is out now. Jalen Watson missed some time. So, they've had some injuries. Just about everybody but McDuffie and Connor has been banged up back there. So they're looking for guys. And, I feel like that may be the one spot that they're still trying to maybe resolve in their minds. Hey, what do we want to do here? So, there's a guy like a Keith Taylor who the Chiefs, he's been playing a lot with the ones, was starting in practice yesterday. Now, we'll see if that continues, but I think he'll play some against the Bears, and, that might be a guy who can change a mind if he hasn't already, with a good effort. Maybe if it goes the other way for him, he has a bad game, maybe the Chiefs say, not ready yet, that kind of thing. So I think corner is the one. I really had trouble. I got the Chiefs keeping 6, if you count Jamari Connor as a corner. I've got him keeping 6. I really went back and forth about which of which guys might make the team, and I'm keeping Kelvin Joseph, but I don't feel really strong about that one.
Yeah, see, so McDuffie, Watson, Williams, Nazeeh, and then Kelvin Joseph for your 5th, and I've sort of wondered if they look at Shamari Connor, and they list him as a cornerback, but if they look at Shamari Connor and say, okay, we kind of get half and half, we got a half safety and a half cornerback here, that maybe that gives them the luxury of keeping, 6 cornerbacks and 4 safeties, so that Connor then moves to or maybe 5 cornerbacks, and then Connor is the 6th, and then you've only got 3 safeties. Or if Keith Taylor, does something like you talk about and makes the squad, and like, all right, we want to keep this guy too, because there have been injuries, and maybe they don't know what they have in a Kelvin Joseph if he has to play, or a Nazeeh Johnson, and so maybe just the numbers overall make it a little bit more likely, as opposed to maybe Deion Bush being a practice squad guy. And then it certainly goes into, I know Steve Spagnuolo said yesterday, Adam, that they don't look at numbers like 6 linebackers or 6 of this or 10 of that and said, one year we took 11 defensive linemen because you just want to keep good players. Then you start to wonder, like last year they kept 6 linebackers, but they also had Willie Gay. So, do they keep 6 linebackers this year? And Cam Jones and Curtis Jacobs make the squad, and not necessarily a Cam Jones versus Curtis Jacobs, because if they keep 6 linebackers, well, then now you're probably looking at 5 cornerbacks and then, the 4 safeties, and that might be bad news for Keith Taylor, or I would say early on it felt like Nick Jones, but, I mean, he didn't even really play in the second preseason game, so that was, bad news for him. But I thought it was interesting from Steve Spagnuolo, like 6 linebackers. Well, we're not looking at numbers. We just want to keep good players. Okay, well, then it's an interesting way of looking at it because they kept 6 linebackers last year.
Well, and there's another reason they might go heavy in terms of numbers at a position, and not just that. Hey, they don't want to cut a good player. It's that they've had some injuries there, and Watson has kind of been in and out most of camp, and so we know about him. Najee Johnson, the same thing. Joseph has missed some time, although he's back now. Josh Williams came up with a little bit of a hamstring the other day, and I don't know how long that's going to keep him out. I know he didn't practice yesterday, so you might want 6 guys, counting Shamari Connor as a corner. You might want 6 guys when the season starts to account for an injury, or, maybe you feel like Josh Williams isn't ready to go, or Najee Johnson or something. So I feel like that's a spot where the Chiefs will want to go heavy in terms of numbers. So I think, again, depending on how you classify Shamari Connor, I think they'll keep a minimum of 5 if you're counting him as a safety, and probably 6 if you're not.
Where do you land on sort of your opinion as we've asked you about who you think the second best cornerback is, but from the standpoint of what we've heard from Dave Merritt and what we've heard from Steve Spagnuolo, like there's a level, it seems, of frustration. Spagnuolo said yesterday, not necessarily annoyance, and certainly the injuries there. But it sounds like for 2 years now, last offseason and training camp and this offseason and training camp, like they've been waiting for somebody to rise to the level to announce that they're the best cornerback after McDuffie and Snead. And now Snead's gone, that they're the best guy after McDuffie. And it feels like there's some frustration from Steve Spagnuolo that they're just not getting that, whether that's injury or inconsistency, that it's not to the level they were hoping or thinking it would be, 6 days before you're cutting down to 53 and you got to make these decisions. And somebody's got to be starting opposite McDuffie when you take the field against the Ravens.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, the Chiefs have invested a lot of draft picks recently at corner, as we know, and not all of them have been high picks, but they've cast a pretty wide net. And I think they're probably hoping for something better than this, than to be in this dilemma as the season's approaching. So, yeah, I think it is kind of interesting, But on the other hand, the Chiefs didn't go out and get a veteran. They didn't feel a need to do that. They felt like they had the guys here. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Josh Williams, I didn't think Josh Williams played poorly in training camp. I thought he did a number of good things. So to kind of hear the way they've talked about him and the way they've, maybe moved him a little bit out of the starting lineup and had him running with the 2s for a little while, that's kind of surprised me. I thought he had played better than that. So he's a guy I got my eye on. I mean, I think he's the strongest candidate to make that leap, but maybe in their minds it's not going to happen.
It almost feels like, and I don't want to single somebody out when he's talking about an entire position group, but it almost feels like there's an element of it's like an indictment on Josh Williams to a degree, because he hasn't been dealing with the injuries that Jalen Watson's missing camp. Najee Johnson's had hamstring come up a couple of times. Kelvin Joseph has missed time in camp. Jalen Watson playing with the injury last year that Williams had last year, had the offseason, a healthy offseason, has been relatively healthy in camp and has been playing a lot, and yet still hasn't proven that he's the guy that they'll just go ahead and say, you're starting opposite Trent McDuffie. And, we've got these other guys that have been injured, but hey, that's just the way it goes in the NFL. You take advantage of the opportunities. Your availability is a big part of your ability, and this guy has been, available, and he's been good enough this guy's our guy. It almost feels like an indictment on if they haven't found that guy, and there's one specific guy that seems to be healthier than everybody else and has had many opportunities, and they're still in that boat. You would wonder if they're sort of like, okay, Williams is by default, but they're hoping somebody will take the spot over him.
Yeah, and Williams is the guy you look at as the most logical guy.
Yeah.
He, among all those Chiefs draft picks, other than McDuffie, of course, he's the highest draft pick, fourth round. Johnson's a seventh round guy, and Watson's a seventh round guy. So, that he's the logical candidate to step up and be the guy. But, hey, in their minds, clearly that hasn't happened, and now he's got an injury too. So, I think this thing is not resolving itself. I think it's pretty clear it's not resolving itself the way the Chiefs hoped.
Do you think they would look outside for a veteran cornerback to bring in just in case, or these are the guys they're going with? You dance with the one that you went to the dance with, and these are the guys they've worked with the most, and the devil if you want to go that route, for lack of a better term. Do you think they would look outside at guys that may be released or a veteran guy to bring in to kick the tires on?
Yeah, I would have thought if they were that concerned about it, they would have done that already.
Yeah.
That this is kind of late in the game now, but doesn't mean you can't bring in a guy in who's on the waiver wire next week and work with him and maybe have him ready to go for the Baltimore game. So, I think that's a position to look at. I'm not expecting it, but certainly it could happen.
And also point out, we're talking about who the second cornerback is on this team. And even if we're saying it's Williams or Watson or Najee Johnson, it's not saying, well, I mean, now you got to go to the game with Orlando Scandrick playing at cornerback for you. Well, good luck with that. Or, Eli Apple is your starting cornerback. There's a little bit of difference of what they're getting from Williams and Watson versus what they have gotten from their second cornerback when you're going, that's a real hole in the defense when Scandrick is the guy that they're just going to pick on 3rd and 10 when you did enough on 1st and 2nd down. And now 3rd down, it's a first down because that guy is getting burned.
Well, be careful because the guy you might want to claim off waivers when cut down day might not be any better than Orlando Scandrick.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm with you.
I think I wouldn't expect to get a Pro Bowler
right
at this point. So I always feel like for the most part you're better off going with the guys you got and trying to make that work. And my sense is that's what the Chiefs will do.
Yeah, me too. I don't think they'll look outside. I think they're going to stay with what they got. And they've been playing Keith Taylor a lot. I mean, he had the interception, and so he ran a hell of a route, the route the wide receiver was running. But Keith Taylor ran it better than him and intercepted the ball. I also think it was Keith Taylor's responsibility on the touchdown, and that he didn't hand off the receiver and then take the guy coming across. That he stayed with that guy and vacated his area, and boom, now it ends up being a longer gain. So, but again, if he's your 5th or 6th cornerback, it's a little bit different than saying, well, Keith Taylor's now got to go out there and start. But that's the point about being on this team is that if you're playing 3 cornerbacks and a couple of guys get injured, well, now you're in the game. I mean, Echo Boydo played, a number of snaps last year for this team. So they do need the depth at that position. And you just wish there was at least one guy that had solidified himself. And they're starting with that guy and McDuffie and Shamari Connor at the slot, and then everybody else is trying to figure out their role to play the backup. I don't know.
But and you talk about Keith Taylor or Kelvin Joseph, and they're far down the depth chart if they make the team. But right now, Najee Johnson didn't practice yesterday. Josh Williams didn't practice yesterday. So as of right now, whoever that next guy up, whether it's Joseph or Keith Taylor, that's your 3rd corner, not counting Shamari Connor. I mean, you got Watson, who we think will be ready to go, and McDuffie, of course, and then Taylor might be your 3rd guy, or Joseph might be your 3rd guy against the Ravens. So this is a big issue for them.
Well, I mean, if it's against the Ravens for 1 week, I guess I'll take my chances with it being Zay Flowers and Bateman, as opposed to what could be Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Jermaine Burton the next week, depending on who's healthy there. So I need run stoppers on September 5th. All right, I need my linebackers and my defensive linemen to be healthy for that one. I need Nick Bolton. I need Chris Jones. I need Justin Reed. I need those guys out there September 5th. The next week, I need some guys that can cover, against the Bengals, and we'll see what ends up happening with that. I think Cam Jones is on the team as, whether it's 5 or 6 linebackers. What do you think they think of Curtis Jacobs, a guy that I've liked and talked about in the offseason? I loved that they signed him as a free agent. I thought maybe he'd be a draft pick by this team. He's certainly got the athletic ability with the special teams and kickoff. You got a guy that can run that fast and be linebacker. I know they like Cam Jones on special teams too. Is that a guy that maybe they think they can get to practice squad? Or is that maybe a guy that Steve Spagnuolo is thinking of, or comes into the conversation of, you just don't want to give up good players? If this guy's going to get claimed off waivers, then maybe we keep him instead of somebody else that was going to clear waivers. What do you think of that battle between Cam Jones and Curtis Jacobs? And if Jacobs makes the team, is it only because there's 6 linebackers as opposed to making the team over a Cam Jones?
Yeah, I think Cam Jones is going to make it. I think he'll be the 5th linebacker and a special teams player.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Jacobs did some good things at camp, so I think there's some things to work with. It's just I don't know that it's going to be this year that he's going to be that guy, and so do you want to carry him? You're trying to win a Super Bowl here. Do you want to carry him at the bottom of your roster and probably be inactive most weeks, if not every week? And there's going to be a couple of those guys who make the team for the Chiefs. There always is. They're always keep a spot or two in the bottom of the roster with an eye on the future. So they certainly could lose, Curtis Jacobs if you try to sneak him through waivers. But it's one of those things where everybody's cutting down at the same time, and I think it takes an extraordinary guy for a team to say, we're going to bring him in, and we're going to bring in a Curtis Jacobs, and we're going to keep, he's not going to help him probably much this year, at least not early, because he's going to be learning a new way of doing things. So I just don't know there's a whole lot of danger there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't necessarily be worried about losing him if you cut him. So I've only got the Chiefs keeping 5 at linebacker, and he's not one of them. But he's a guy to keep an eye on for the future, no doubt.
Yeah, I've got him with 5 and Curtis Jacobs on the outside looking in. Adam Teicher is our guest from ESPN, presented by Twin Peaks. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about some things on the offense. Something that Mecole Hardman said yesterday, which I thought was interesting. And we'll talk about how many things that Adam Teicher has thrown behind his back in the last 5 days or so. More Zone coming up next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock, talking with Adam Teicher from ESPN Chiefs Insider, presented by Twin Peaks. Adam, it was ad-libbed, and it's funny because when it took place and it happened, everybody's like, well, there you go. He talked about it in practice or at the podium, and he did it in practice and said that, Andy Reid wants him to do it. In the very next game, they do it. Seems really coincidental. But then you hear him talk, you hear Kelsey talk, you hear Andy Reid say that, or Nagy talk about Kelsey sort of being in the wrong spot. And then you see Patrick Mahomes walk towards Kelsey and sort of point to the right after Kelsey got tackled. I find it to be true. It was ad-libbed, and it was not a let's run a shovel pass, Patrick, where you can throw behind the back.
I don't think so. That was one of those things where, you see it and you're like, did I just really see that? And we've had a number of moments with him during the games like that, where he's done something and you're like, did I see that right? Like the no-look passes and stuff like that. But this was definitely one of them. I mean, and it looked it certainly looked like, the fact that he had no pressure on him or anything. He just sort of, kind of flipped it around his back. It looked like, hey, they could have sold me a little bit on the fact that, hey, this is a called play. Right. We wanted to do this. I probably would have bought it if they had said that. Yeah. So, another one for him to check off the list.
No doubt. Adam Teicher from ESPN is our guest. What did you see from Xavier Worthy? It's second game, so it wasn't like, well, we haven't seen anything from Xavier Worthy. There's only one game, but and like 5 snaps, but against the Jags. But what'd you see from Xavier Worthy, and what you saw in that second game? How that can translate maybe to what he presents for this Chiefs offense?
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs have been wanting to get him the ball, and they did, and they got him twice. But, to me, the most impressive play was the Justin Watson catch. I mean, he's running a deep post, Worthy is, and the Lions sent 3 guys with him. And so the middle of the field was wide open for Justin Watson. So, it's is that the kind of thing we're going to see where he clears out the middle of the field for Kelsey and Rice and Watson and other guys. I mean, it's that was I think that was the most impressive thing. So I think I'm interested to see how opponents handle Xavier Worthy and what kind of respect they give him and what the Chiefs do with him, how they try to use him in terms of what his role is on a given play, because there's a lot going on there, and if teams are going to give him that kind of respect, it's going to open up a lot of things for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely one that stood out. I thought there were 3 plays outside of the first catch that he had for 39 yards, but that one you're talking about, to where 3 different guys ran with him. The cornerback that was guarding him turned and ran with him. The safety that was over on that side of the field was backpedaling and running with him. And then the safety on the other side of the field, whose job was to squeeze down on Travis Kelce coming over the middle, he turns and runs with Xavier Worthy, leaving Kelce wide open. Like Mahomes hit Justin Watson, but he also had Kelce wide open, like 10 yards away from Justin Watson. Like, he had his choice of guys to throw to because 3 different guys, turned and ran with Xavier Worthy. I think the third guy that was supposed to come down on Kelce sort of panicked and like, we're not. They're going right back to him, streaking down the field. That's not going to happen. I'll give up 25 yards rather than 60.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was a busted coverage. I mean, they're not going to cover him with 3 guys. I don't think so. But I think you are going to see that kind of panic from time to time. Yeah. Guys like going, no, I'm not letting this number 1 guy run around back there by himself. And he's going to leave his responsibility and go cover Worthy. And meanwhile, Kelsey or Rice or whoever is roaming around the middle of the field with nobody on him. So yeah, I'm with you. I think you're going to see that kind of thing maybe early in the season until maybe opponents figure out what's the best way to deal with this.
The other 2 that stood out, and obviously the touchdown was there, but to hear Mahomes talk about, like, well, that was a clear-out route, that he was there just to sort of clear that space, and then, he sees the safety that's on him, and then he just runs to grass, as Justin Watson called it. Take the grass, I think is how Justin Watson phrased it. And it's like, okay, this is a clear-out route, but he still ran the route in a way that he set up the defender and then went by him. And Adam Dravetta brought up something yesterday in talking with Seren, and he said, I think about the jet chip wasp in the Super Bowl when Mahomes was in the huddle and was calling out the play and saying to Tyreek, you get open, saying to Sammy, you be working, right? So, hey, you need to work to clear out that area, all right, so, because we're going to go to this spot. That was one to where it's like, hey, Xavier, clearing out that area. Oh, wait, now you're open because you ran the route in a way to set that guy up, so I'm going to hit you for the touchdown. And Patrick Mahomes saying, well, it gives me something to think about, that even on a clear-out route, he can still, get the touchdown. And then talking about the deep shot that they took that they didn't connect on it, and he said, the defense won that rep, but it's one-on-one. I'm going to take that shot. And it's almost like, you dare the defense, because the defense would dare the Chiefs last year of, well, we're going to leave MVS one-on-one on the outside. We'll dare you to throw the ball there. Now you do that. I mean, if he burns the secondary or the cornerback, now you're talking about a long touchdown. So do you want to play, man-to-man and just leave one-on-one on the outside? Because Mahomes – that was first down. He's going to take his chance because they still got second and third down if it doesn't get completed. I think outside of that 39-yard play, those three plays showed a lot of what he brings to the table and why I think, Xavier Worthy just being on the field, knowing the playbook, his production doesn't have to come in volume. His production doesn't have to come in, hey, you got to have 1,000 yards from this guy. His production and impact comes from, three plays that, one of them was a catch.
Yep, and that's what I've been saying about him. I don't think he's going to be a high-volume guy in terms of number of catches, but I think he's going to be a high-impact guy.
Yeah.
That, whether he's the one catching the ball or the plays like the Justin Watson play, he's going to have that kind of impact for the Chiefs. I don't think there's any doubt.
Is this the fastest group of wide receivers that the Chiefs have ever had with Patrick Mahomes?
Well, who was on that Legion of Zoom back in the day?
And it was Tyreek, it was Hardman and Sammy.
Yeah, and Watkins was fast, but he's not in a category, I don't think, with Hollywood Brown or these other guys. So, I think this is the fastest group they've had. And Justin Watson's fast too. He's probably not up there with those other guys, but he can move too. So, it is a pretty fast group, no doubt.
Maybe not fast. Would you say skilled? Because there's been speed on the receiver room, but this is a more skilled with speed receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I think there's certainly good wide receivers, no doubt. I mean, Tyreek was the best wide receiver in Chiefs history, and McCole, that rookie year was pretty productive and touchdowns, and you saw what he could bring to the table with his speed. And Sammy had a couple of games where he was explosive, but then after that it was like DeMarcus Robinson. Okay, well, it's not bringing you speed where. You've got Rashee Rice doesn't have a whole lot of speed. He's got enough, certainly. But those four guys with Watson and then Hollywood, Worthy, and McCole Hardman, it's adding another guy. Even if we throw in, like you said, Adam, if Watson's the fourth guy as opposed to DeMarcus Robinson, then, this is a faster group of players than what they had with the Legion of Zoom.
Yeah, and, I think Dylan brings up a good point. It's more than just fast guys, though. Xavier Worthy can run a route. I mean, he knows what he's doing out there, and that's a thing the Chiefs are going to get plenty of benefit from right there.
Dylan just earned an extra vacation day for having a good point. So nice job.
I think it's a quarter hour on
an extra vacation day.
Yeah, it's a quarter hour on PTO actually. So thanks, Adam.
There you go. Thanks, Adam Teicher, handing out vacation days left and right. Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN. He is presented by Twin Peaks. Kingsley is. Looked like, something that we didn't really have to talk about, which is great, right? I mean, it's like, hey, what'd you think of Kingsley in that game? You know what? I didn't. That's as good as a compliment as you're going to get for a rookie playing his initial snaps in the NFL.
Yeah, and not only that, he's such a young guy. I mean, he's only still 21, right? So he's going to keep getting better, and I think you should expect that he'll be better in the middle of the season than he is now, and he'll be better at the end of the season than he was in the middle of the season. So I think he's just going to keep getting better. He'll see some things he hasn't seen yet, and it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts. But It's starting to look like the Chiefs had another big draft, that found at least three guys who are going to have big impacts between him and Worthy and Jaden Hicks. So starting to look like, it's still early. I don't want to make that declaration yet, but it has that look for sure.
He was asked the other day, Andy Reid was on Monday, about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and maybe an IR being a possibility for him, and he said, we're not going there yet, and that's something that certainly Brett and we'll come up with a plan and everything. But do you think it's a strong possibility that maybe instead of, hey, they waive or vested veterans, so they just release them and sign him to the practice squad, as opposed to then, hey, if you place him on the IR, he can't play for 4 weeks, but then you can bring him back at any point, as opposed to, like, practice squad players need to actually practice and play the role of the other team. And if he's not practicing on the practice squad, then who's playing the running back for the other team? I just have no idea what's going to happen in 6 days with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if he's going to be on the team or not on the team, if they're going to cut him for practice squad, if IR is an actual possibility, for him to, maybe just simply focus more on that and not worry about the weekly grind of an NFL, season career. I just have no clue what they're going to do here with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Do you have a read on it at all, as one way or another, and how likely do you think of a possibility there is of an IR stint?
This is a dilemma for the Chiefs. They didn't do anything at running back in terms of bringing in a veteran, which I really thought they would do, or draft a guy, in a middle round. So they were counting on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They got Pacheco. There's just a bunch of unknowns, and you don't know how he's going to respond. And he, meaning Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you just don't know whether he can, fight through his issues enough to help the Chiefs this year. So to me, he's a big unknown, and that's why I've got the Chiefs keeping 4 running backs. I didn't want to do that, but I don't know that they're ready to just flat out release him yet. And I know that IR certainly is a possibility that could happen, but do we know he's going to be any better in a month than he is right now? He's going to be any more able to handle the grind of a football season and be a reliable player? Is he going to be any more in a month than he is now? So I don't know that solves a whole lot. It buys you a roster spot for at least a little while. So I've got the Chiefs keeping 4 at running back, and 2 of them, 2 of those guys have never played in the NFL,
right.
In Carson Steele and Deneric Prince, and so you don't know how they're going to respond when this thing gets real. And so I think this is a real dilemma for the Chiefs. I would feel better if I were them, if I had another veteran in here. Let's just say a Jerick McKinnon kind of guy.
Yeah, that's you'd feel a lot better if it was somebody like that. And I just. If it's only, I think they're going to go with 4 running backs. I just don't know what that would look like. And if there's no Clyde Edwards-Helaire and there's 3 running backs, so who's earned the spot to make it 25 players on offense? Does that mean that Irv Smith is on the team? Does it mean that Ethan Driscoll or C.J. Hanson's on the team? Or does that mean that maybe they go, we'll stay with 24 guys on offense and we'll keep an extra guy on defense because there's more maybe questions on the defensive side of what they have? Because I just don't know if there is an offensive lineman that they have right now that you would go, yeah, this guy's definitely earned a spot on the squad, like an Ethan Driscoll or a C.J. Hanson or a Chu Godric, as opposed to the 9 that I think they're going to keep. And if they keep a 10th, then maybe that's for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and maybe that's Hanson, maybe it's Driscoll, something like that. It's certainly not Chu Godric, but somebody, maybe they keep a 5th tackle or a 6th interior offensive lineman with Tooney's injury. I don't know what they would do with that, but without Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it does open up a spot because they only activate 3 running backs on game day. So it's not like they need 4 running backs to play against the Ravens. They would need 3 of them. But your point is well taken in that after Pacheco, it's Prince and Steele, and those guys have not taken a snap in the NFL before.
Yep. So it's a little bit of a weird situation there, and I think if they do something with Edwards-Helaire in terms of IR or just an outright release, then I would have the Chiefs keeping a 4th tight end. So I think Irv Smith would be the guy that makes it if you ask me. But, hey, the C.J. Hanson's an interesting guy because the Chiefs are going to need interior offensive linemen next year. And certainly Hunter Norzad, I think, will be starting for the Chiefs in 2025. But, are they going to need another spot? Is Joe Tooney going to be back? Can they keep either Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith beyond this year?
Yeah.
So, do you want to lose a guy that might be part of your long-term solution here? I don't have C.J. Hanson making the team. I don't know that anybody would claim him, but it's something to think about.
Yeah.
He might be one of those guys that's at the bottom of the roster who's inactive every week, but they have an eye on the future with him.
Yeah, I mean, they're giving him opportunities. He played the most snaps against the Lions on Saturday, and we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Adam Teicher from ESPN, presented by Twin Peaks. As we look at this Chiefs team, the final preseason game tomorrow night, neither team playing their starters, so unfortunate for NFL Network billing this the Caleb Williams versus Patrick Mahomes game, because that's not going to be the case. But Adam, enjoy the game tomorrow, and we will talk next week when we're looking at what this 53-man roster is going to be. Thank you for the time, as always, brother. Enjoy the football.
Maybe we see Caleb Williams versus Patrick Mahomes in February, maybe, huh?
Hey, you know what? That would be I'll take it right now. I'll take it Let's meet in Louisiana and Chicago versus the Chiefs. That means the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. I will take it. Exactly.
Sounds good.
Adam,
All right, good stuff, Jason.
Absolutely. There's Adam Teicher from ESPN. Again, presented by Twin Peaks. Step up your lunch game at Twin Peaks. A little bit of, when we talk about Edwards-Helaire, that the surprise that, they didn't do anything in the offseason in bringing somebody else in, that they, re-sign Edwards-Helaire. Carson Steele, if it wasn't for him, I don't know what they would, if Carson Steele just looked generic.
Generic Prince.
That's pretty good. I like that one a lot, man. If Carson Steele was just generic, off-brand, what would they be doing at running back right now? Because we're saying, well, they got three with Pacheco and Steele and Prince. What are they going to do with Edwards-Helaire if that means there's a fourth running back? I mean, without Carson Steele playing this way, it's like, what would they be doing at all? They would be clearly going out and looking for somebody else. And that's where a little bit of a surprise that, I really wanted J.K. Dobbins. And when he was on a visit and then he signs, 1 year, $1.6 million, it's not like he signed a 3-year deal with the Chargers or anything where you're like, wow, I mean, I can't believe they gave him multi-years. It's like he signed a 1 year for and
it looks like $50,000 guaranteed.
Yeah,
I think it was because of the injuries. It hit
for sure,
a lot
absolutely.
of
and all indications are he looks great in camp right now, but you never know. But that's a guy that, when healthy, can be a difference maker. And I was like, man, I would love for them to get Dobbins. They didn't. They re-signed Edwards-Helaire. And now we'll see what happens with that moving forward. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone next.
It's Dylan Michaels here, and I can't say
McCole Hardman talked yesterday, and there's still such this confusion over the play that took place against the Jags in the first preseason game that ended up being the safety. McCole Hardman, the first time he's talked since then, gives what his sort of explanation as to why he did that in the moment, as opposed to what is the rule maybe now, as opposed to what he was told.
As far as I'm concerned right now is you have to return it. But it's crazy because I asked that question. I asked if it hit in the end zone to come back to the field of play, and I down it, what's the result? And they was like, well, based off where your feet is, basically. And right, it's it's where your feet is. That's what they said at first, but clearly New York had a different meaning of it. And so that's what the confusion was about the one in the first preseason game when I downed it. So I thought where my feet was, it'd be a touchback, but clearly you can't bring it from the field of play to the end zone no matter what. And so I was like, well, if I was giving myself up, should it be down to one? It was a lot of things going on that was talking. So, but clearly you have to return it now, so we know that. But it's still a discussion on if they actually gonna make that a rule to actually be a safety or a touchback now. So I'm kind of glad it's happened. So
it is interesting. Are they talking about whether or not that play that you can reach out from the end zone on the new kickoff rule and bring the ball back into the end zone and have it be a touchback instead of a safety, sort of like on the sideline? Mm-hmm. Goal line and sideline is different. We know that. And it's about the impetus of putting the ball into the end zone. What team is charged with providing the impetus to put the ball in the end zone? And that's why it was ruled a safety, is because they ruled that the ball's at the 1 yard line. It bounced out of the end zone. It's a live ball. Therefore, it's a ball in play. It's no longer a ball in the end zone that you can then kneel and it's a touchback. So when he touches it to bring it back to him, the Chiefs are now charged with providing the impetus of putting the ball into the end zone. And you say, well, why? Well, then he's kneeling and he's touching the ball at the 1 yard line. So it should be down at the 1 yard line. But the rule specifically states that, three things have to happen. 1, control of the ball. 2, 2 feet or a body part other than a hand down, in terms to give yourself up, other than a hand down. And then 3, performs an act common to the game or at minimum has time to do so. So what New York ruled is that he completed acts 1 and 2. He did have control of the ball, and his knee was down to give himself up. That's while the ball was in play.
Sure.
But in order for him to fully give himself up, which is performing an act common to the game or at a minimum has time to do so, the time it took for him to pull the ball back into his arm to tuck it away and then stop is what they view as the common act. Now that the ball is no longer moving, he has now officially given himself up in the end zone, with the ball fully in the end zone. Had he then held the ball out at the 1 yard line and just took a knee and just stood there, or took a knee and didn't move, then it would have been at the 1 yard line.
Okay.
Which is such a weird sort of it's an element that somebody could take advantage of if they're smart enough. Like, okay, I'm taking a knee. I haven't stopped moving the ball. I'm still sort of going back and forth, and everybody stopped running, and now I'm running. Because I took a knee, but I haven't fully given myself up, right? Because you said the ball stops. It's an act common. I have to have time to fully give myself, but I haven't really stopped moving. I've taken a knee here. Like, I feel like there's the specific rule, and then there's the intent of the rule. That seems to be like they charged him with the safety because he was driving 56 and a 55. Okay, we're going to give you a speeding ticket. Yeah, technically it's speeding, but the point, he gave himself up while he had possession of the ball outside the end zone.
I like McCole just saying, I just got to take it. I just got to go.
Just got to go, right?
Just got to go.
Yeah, but that's how confusing it is. And now he's saying, well, I don't know if McCole's right on this, but that they're discussing whether or not that is a safety or if it's going to be a touchback. Because what did Matt Derrick say? There's been 30 different rule changes and amendments already to when they originally did that. I mean, this could be another one. We'll talk with Devin Neal, KU running back, next. Michaels. Let's talk with one of the best running backs in the country for the Kansas Jayhawks. Not just best running back for the Kansas Jayhawks, best running back in the country. Devin Neal joining us here in the zone for the number 22 in the land, KU Jayhawks. Devin, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
We are doing just fine. First of all, happy late birthday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
21
Yeah.
now?
Finally, man.
Yeah.
I'm a youngin' for my class.
I
appreciate it.
I don't know. Like, everybody's a youngin' for your other class. Like Jalen Daniels, we were talking with
Yeah.
him. He came in at 17 years old.
Yeah.
Now he's the old head in the group at being 21 years old.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
and him are the same. Yeah, we both came in at 17, so finally getting old, I guess.
That's crazy.
First time going to the wheel, right? First time?
Yep.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah,
first
I
time.
bet that's
First
a cool
time.
experience, I bet. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
really dope. Nice pizza they got there.
Devin Neal is our guest. What's the feeling like for you? 8 days away from getting this thing rolling against Lindenwood, man. Are you itching to get out there and just get some football in?
I mean, yeah, I'm just really excited just because, like, honestly, I haven't been able to go much scrimmage and, like, getting tackled or anything like that. So, this is my first time back since last year, and so I'm really excited. It's the first of the last, right? So,
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited to, just go out there one last time with my guys and just go ball out, man.
You hear that first of the last. Did that hit you the first time you thought about that? First practice of the last fall
I
camp?
know. Yeah, I mean, the coach, especially Coach Sleeve, like he doesn't let me forget it, man, because, every day is another opportunity to get better. And, I just want to leave my long-lasting imprint on this program. And obviously one last time, so just going – all out there, leaving it all out there because there's nothing else to lose. So,
do you feel a responsibility as a guy who's been here a while and has watched it go from what Kansas football was known and now the way that it's viewed? Do you feel a responsibility to hand the program to the next group of guys to where that work continues and there's not the complacency or feeling like, hey, we've made it, we're at KU football and we don't have to put in as much work anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been really intentional with, just passing on the knowledge that I've known to anyone I can really get a hold of, especially, to the young running backs, just passing my knowledge down to them, the game, just hoping the game slow down for them because I know how I was as a freshman, even though maybe different circumstances, of course, they're probably in a way better spot, program-wise than I was in. So just passing my knowledge down to them on the field, off the field, just trying to be the best leader I can be. And not only that, just being a big brother to them because, I know how challenging it can be. So I'm trying to lighten up the mood, especially in camp. So it's been fun for sure.
So you like the comic relief from time to time, maybe
Yeah.
cutting some of the tension with some comedy to lighten it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just the state that our running back room's in is kind of lighthearted anyway. Like, obviously, we go into the film room to get better. It's serious conversations. But, I think Coach Wallace and, Coach Stewart, that's now a part of, our room. It's been amazing just seeing the connection we had because we didn't have that. Me and guys like Deuce, when we first, our freshman years, we didn't have stuff like this. And so it's amazing, the transformation overall, just the little things that you see day to day.
Devin Neal's our guest. How much pride do you feel? I know the job isn't done, and you guys got a big season in front of you, but how much pride do you feel from the time when you committed, growing up here in Lawrence and committing to a program that was not viewed as like, why is Devin going there instead of going to another spot, but wanting to help turn the program around and being one of the pillars that does that? How much pride do you feel when you see number 22 come out, the KU Jayhawks going into your final year, the preseason top 25 team?
I mean, I feel a ton of pride in that just because, you actually said it right there a lot. I got asked that question a ton. Why are you going here, and this is why I came here, just to be able to flip this program on my hometown school, just to put an amount of work in to do something that no one's done before in 15 years, right? So just being a part of this has been special in so many ways, and, I owe a lot of it to, my faith in God. I owe it to a lot of my family, just helping me stay, mellow and calm throughout a lot of adverse moments throughout my career and just, just giving out as much as I can, just being a pillar for this program in the community as much as I can and, just giving back everything to this university. That's really been my main goal, my dream, and I feel like for the most part I've been able to achieve that.
You didn't commit to Lance Leipold originally, but you maintained your commitment when he was the head coach. Was it easy to see his vision, and when you talked to him to see, and when he talked to you, that what it could look like?
It's funny because I was actually talking to Coach Sleeve today about that, just thinking, and at the time when all this stuff happened with Coach Miles, at first I was almost solid about leaving, but I sat into a room with Coach Leipold and Coach Sleeve, and they changed my entire perspective in like 30 seconds. I believe that first impressions are extremely valuable, and the first impression I had of them too was that they're dedicated, they're loyal, and they're going to get this thing done. And, I didn't know when it was going to happen, but it kind of happened right away. You saw at the end of my freshman year, you kind of seen the program start turning the wheels a little bit. And so just to get here and where we are with this staff and the people here, it's phenomenal. I think the same feeling I have is why you see a lot of guys who are part of those early classes stay, and they have stayed for, a lot of great reasons too. So, yeah, I absolutely find a lot of pride in, everything that we've done so far.
Do you remind them how important that conversation was for them in this program to keep you around? You probably don't, but I think of myself, I'm like, man, that was a pretty big conversation to get Devin Neal to reaffirm the commitment when you're thinking about going into that. Well, I'm going to go somewhere else, but let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I took a mature approach about everything. Just especially, I know at the time being 17, I didn't really know what I really wanted. What I did know for sure is that I wanted to flip this thing around at this university, and so I think that's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And looking back, maybe it was crazy. Maybe some people call me crazy, but to be honest, I really don't care because it's been special.
Devin Neal is our guest. Looking back, do you have a favorite game? Do you have a game that sticks out over these few years that maybe you go to and think about?
We played a lot of good games, man. I think last year the Oklahoma game really did it for me just because I think we got thrown every curveball possible, right? Just cold weather, raining, rain delay.
Yeah.
But the fire that the team had and the determination, we came out of halftime and you watched them come out of halftime. We were more excited to be out there at that moment in time. And I just think that describes what our program is, and I think back a lot of times just seeing the team effort that it took to win that game, and, it was phenomenal. Obviously, hands down to that Oklahoma team, a phenomenal team. I have a couple friends on that team, and, it's always funny because, in high school when we were talking, it's like, why are you going to KU? Those were the couple guys that were kind of like, why would you do that? And so, that was kind of like, me poking jabs at them. So
that's nice.
I love that.
Yeah,
sure.
that's scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you got the scoreboard, man. I didn't know if maybe you'd go back to your sophomore year, Oklahoma State, when you put on an absolute performance, and it was the 6th win.
Yeah.
And KU finally got back to a bowl game. Like, it almost felt like going into that game, it was like, all right, KU starts off 5-0. They've had some – are they going to get to bowl eligibility? And you go out and have 324 yards in the game, and it's bowl eligibility.
Yeah, I mean, that game was special for a lot of reasons. Just because I felt like that was my coming out game, in my opinion. And just, Coach Leipold, you've heard the stories, just texted me beforehand, Tony Sand's record of all things, right? It was just so random at the time. And, I kind of just woke. It was one of those days where you just kind of wake up with a great feeling about what's going on today. And, it just went out there and just played and just have fun and, smiles going around for the whole team.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was a super special win for this program, and, I'll never forget that as well.
Do you think about June Henley's record?
Duh. Of course. Of course, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if they were maybe in your room. And
765.
By the way, 765 is what he needs, and 8 touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
765 and 8, and you're number one all-time in yards and touchdowns in KU history. What's that? I mean, I know you're not there yet. I know that, but what's that sort of – you hear that, right? 765 and 8, and you're the all-time leading rusher for KU football history in yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what I've already said is just – it's one of those dream moments because, you first come here, you don't know what freshman year is going to look like. At the time, obviously I knew what type of running back room we had, and – I had a different mindset. Like, of course I wanted to start, right? But, at the time I just wanted to keep my head down and just keep working, keep getting better and better. And, finally it just clicked. And then, week 4 I ended up starting, thrown in the fire, thrown into the wolves, whatever you call it. And then it just went on from there. And I felt never in a moment in my life where I'm good where I'm at. I just kept grinding, getting better. And, ended up here special. And, I owe a lot to it. The determination and stuff that my family has taught me just to keep on grinding, keep on chipping away and finding little things to get better at. And then obviously, Coach Wallace helping me with that and, all the other stuff that's kept helping me with that and too. And so everything just happens for a reason, I firmly believe. And so I'm just super excited to, hopefully knock that down this year for sure.
Did you have any idea that when college football video game would come out that you would be one of the best running backs in the entire game? Like, it's become like a countrywide like phenomenon of, dude, Devin Neal. Run the ball with Devin Neal. This dude is different in the game.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, going into it, obviously we went to Media Day, and they kind of introduced us there. And I didn't think I thought it was going to be like an 88, 89. I didn't know what they were going to think of me, but, for that to come out, it was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. It was really exciting for me, obviously, to be able to, not only play as myself in the game, but be
Yes.
pretty good in the game as well. But yeah, it was really cool, man. I just think, now I think a lot of people are going to start looking at me, and maybe that's more pressure. I don't know. Maybe I have to start doing spin moves all over the field. But
It's the most vicious spin move in the game.
yeah,
I mean, are you? I mean, it's like 5 spin moves on one
Yeah.
play will get you a touchdown. I mean,
Literally.
like you got to throw out a couple spin moves this year.
I think I have to, because I saw a lot of comments that said if he's not doing this, then he's a bust. So
But it does sort of like nationally, people that play the game and may not know much about KU football, it's like, oh, wait, this is the dude I play in the
Yeah,
game with. This is
yeah,
Devin Neal. Oh, wow,
yeah.
let me watch this play.
Right.
Let me watch this game because the KU team is who I use offensively, and this Devin Neal dude
Yeah.
can't be stopped in this game, man.
yeah, I know. I think it just brings extra eyes to our
Yeah.
program. I think it's cool, and obviously they added the new stadium that I'll never play in, which I'm kind of sad about. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Hey, you
But-
built it though,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's what I'm excited
Jalen said you leave bricks, right? You're
Yep.
supposed to. You're leaving a lot of bricks
Exactly.
for the people behind
Exactly.
you.
That's what's cool though about that. Is just that doesn't happen if we don't do what we've done so far. So for the younger guys, I hold it to them that they better perform well in it. So it's just really cool to see the
Yeah.
progress that they're making on that stadium over there.
Yeah, I guess last year when they asked you if this was your last game at the booth, that was really about going pro or not.
Yeah.
Still ended up being that.
Still
but,
ended up being that.
but you get to play at Arrowhead Stadium
Yeah.
this year before playing there next year or whatever
Hey.
NFL stadiums you'll be playing at next year.
Hey, if the Chiefs want to draft me, I'll be more than happy. That's for sure.
I think a lot of people would be more than happy if you're playing there. Devin Neal getting ready for this season for the KU Jayhawks preseason number 22 in the land. And a lot of things that can happen, and it could be an absolute fun season ahead of the team, and certainly the running back, one of the best in the country, Devin Neal. Thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it, man. Best of luck on the season and health and all of that stuff for you.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's Devin Neal, the best running back in college football, video game, and real life, too, maybe. You know what? As a kid, you create a player. As a kid, you always create a player with the video game, and it was yourself, and you made yourself all these different attributes. He didn't have to do that. EA Sports did it for him. Devin Neal joining us. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
He's the man for his time and place. He fits right in there. And that's
Todd Liabo.
Kansas City.
I hate Lee, though.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. We will talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Chiefs' third preseason game tomorrow on 38 The Spot and streaming on KCChiefs.com. Joining us now, you hear the intro there. It is Todd Liabo. I don't get to look at his beautiful face in front of me. Todd, where are you at? Because you're not here right now.
I'm not here. I'm not there. I am here. I'm at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. We're going to be here until 2 o'clock. They've got a great big customer appreciation event coming up on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. They'll have food trucks and giveaways. You take a test drive. You can win, gift cards. They have the Olympic car wash out here. So we're out here having a fun time today. It's going to be awesome on Saturday for their big customer appreciation event. They're wanting to sell you a truck, a car. They've got them all here for you. Great stuff in stock from them. And they've, of course, got their 30-day money-back guarantee, as always, at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC. Great financing going on as well, too. And it's just the place to be on Saturday for sure. It's the place to be right now as well. But, I don't have a food truck here with me right now. But Saturday, the customer appreciation event is going to be awesome on Saturday. So come out here Saturday all day long. It'll be the place to be if you're looking for a new Buick or GMC. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC is the place to be.
Haven't you talked about that once you retire from radio, you're going to have a food truck? You've discussed that a lot, right, Todd?
I only have about 2 things I can make, but I make them really well.
See,
what do you
you
make?
Good.
What are those 2 things?
Well, buffalo chicken stuff. I'm really good at that.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
And I
That's
make
what
good
the
sandwiches.
Food truck can be called buffalo chicken stuff.
Yeah, buffalo chicken stuff. I make chicken stuff out of chicken stuff.
it's
BCS, baby. We're bringing back BCS.
Ray Farmer.
That's right.
Right? Ray Farmer and Casey Prenters. It's like, you were making me try to make chicken salad out of chicken bleep. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Make chicken salad out of chicken bleep. That's what you were supposed to do to make the team.
That's the charge, young man.
Yes.
That's what you're supposed to do.
It's a great line. What did you want me to do? That. If you were going to make the team, that's what you had to do. Todd Liabo, yes. What's an Olympic car wash? Is that like people give out gold medals for doing it correctly, doing it right, doing it quickly?
No, they just own that. It's called Olympic Car Wash.
Okay.
I don't think you
Great
get a
name.
medal.
Okay.
But
I
it's
know.
a great car wash.
Yeah.
It's time to keep your car clean. You know what I mean? And they've
I
got a
need
great
a
one
car
right here
wash.
close to Brogdon's.
Great.
So, and then if you come do your test drive on Saturday, you'll win a gift card, and it could, different values. I think you'll open up the envelope. It could be more or less, whatever. So,
Sweet.
be a good deal.
Awesome.
Just come test drive a car on Saturday.
Sounds easy enough. Todd Lebo is with us. Todd, I asked Adam Teicher in the previous hour about tomorrow's third preseason game, and I do wonder if there are really any, and if there are, like, how many players can actually make the team with a good performance tomorrow night? Like 1, 2, 3 maybe guys, like cornerback specifically. Maybe a guy, has a great game and they gets himself on the team. Like, I don't know what kind of an impact tomorrow can have for a player and how close the Chiefs are already to their 53-man roster, and it's just a matter of waiting to Tuesday before you actually go and cut down, and hopefully you avoid injuries in the meantime.
Well, I mean, you heard we played it yesterday during your show. The coordinators, I mean, they were talking like there's jobs available, but I don't know. Are there really? I mean, that's what you tell the guys, to go out there and play hard, because, not only are you putting tape out for the Chiefs, it's the rest of the league and all that stuff. But, yeah, I don't know how many jobs. Maybe 1 or 2. I mean, the real availability comes if somebody got hurt, and that's not what you're rooting for at all over the next couple of weeks. But I don't know how many jobs are available. I did think it was interesting when you heard Dave Tope say that he will be pounding the desk, for Nico Remigio. Because I think people, as we get closer and closer with these numbers, especially with Hollywood Brown being hurt, and there's the things that are going on there, and who's going to return kicks and all the things that kind of go together there. I don't know if there's going to be a spot for him, but Dave really likes him. So that's the one name we heard somebody say yesterday about, fighting for a spot on the roster. The other side of it, too, is, we kind of forget this practice squad is much bigger than it used to be, and you can have some veteran players on it as well. It's not like the old days. So those are good jobs, by the way. And they use those players during the season, because if somebody gets hurt, they'll send people up and down throughout that thing. But I don't think there's more than a couple of roster spots, we'll call them, not really jobs, because I don't think there's anyone going to be a starter, unless one of the special teams or something like that. I don't think there's starting positions really up for grabs in this game, because what we don't really know about the starting positions is, one of the things that Steve Spagnuolo talked about was they don't really know who the number 2 cornerback is. Well, those guys aren't playing really in this game, so they're not making that choice on Thursday night either, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's been an issue all training camp, is them talking about the cornerback spot. Dave Merritt's talked about it, and Steve Spagnuolo, he was certainly disappointed about the fact that the injuries have taken place. And it's an interesting point with, Justin Reed, not being available at the beginning of the camp, and Nick Bolton being injured, and Joshua Williams now coming up and missing the last couple days of practice, and Jalen Watson having his injury that, as he said, our top 11 to 13 players have not been on the field for one play in
not even
training
once,
camp. Which, it's look, they've played together a lot, which helps. But it even sounded like, Steve Spagnuolo acknowledging, yes, that they played together last year, but then, saying the chemistry. Like, yeah, that's something we're going to have to figure out is, that chemistry, that communication back there. As he said, we can't do anything about the chemistry if they don't play, but we can control our how in shape we are. I can't remember the exact words that he used or how he described it, but he's like, we can't our conditioning, I think it was. We can't control the chemistry, but we can control our conditioning, and and whether that was him saying, like, at least be ready to play when you're out there ready to play, that it's going to take some time with chemistry. But I thought that was interesting that, even that part, I thought it would have been easy enough to say, well, these guys have played together for a long time. You put them out there on the field, it's old hat. Like, we're running the same plays. It's that same conversation. But if you're not there in training camp doing a lot of those things and running and just getting back in the groove of things, that he's looking at and saying it'll take a little time, and you don't want that, taking a little time to come against the Ravens. And that's what's going to be the case.
Not necessarily, but, those defensive backs have played a lot of football.
Yeah.
Except for Najee Johnson, who hasn't played a lot of football and has been hurt in 2 different little ways this year, right? So I know he would love to get every rep and do all the stuff, and they like what they're seeing out of him, but he wasn't on the practice field this week. I don't think he's going to be playing on Thursday either. So that's another one. For me, he is a question mark as much as anyone on that defensive side of the ball, because we've seen Josh Williams play and we've seen Jalen Watson play. And I'll tell you what, Jalen Watson, through all of the pain where you need to have a surgery after the season that he could have had during the season, he shows you what he's made of, right? These guys want to go out there and play. So they love that about him, but they also, you better be able to play the position better than anyone else to get out there and get all the reps. It may just be, Jason, that these guys don't. There's not a true QB or CB2 out there. They might still rotate. It's maybe not what they want, but someone's going to have to prove it's their job. And I don't think they're going to have time to prove that unless it's just all on the practice field when they really get to practicing after this game on Thursday.
It's almost like that somebody's going to start opposite Trent McDuffie against the Ravens, and that somebody is going to be the person that is closest to earning the job, but it doesn't feel like our second cornerback. We know that's our second cornerback. It's just he happens to be the guy we're starting in this game, this first possession. You know,
every year someone has to be the opening day starter for the Royals.
That's right.
Okay.
Last year,
sometimes
Jordan Lyles,
they flipped a coin for
Zach
it. You know what I
Greinke,
mean?
whoever, somebody had to be the opening. That's a great point. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean you're an opening day starter, other than by definition you started the game on opening day for a Major League Baseball team. It doesn't make you an ace. So that's maybe where we are now. I think they've got much better choices than those years where anyone started opening day for the Royals. But that's the point, right? You know, someone has to do this. And it's the thing, like they're going to play this game tomorrow night. They have to play the game. It's going to be 60 minutes long, and the plays are going to take this long, and there needs to be 11 people on the field for each part of it. You know what I mean? All that stuff. It doesn't mean it's going to be something really worth watching, really.
Yeah.
Especially because at this point, with what the Chiefs have done and where they are with some of these injuries, they don't need to see some of these guys play. And the guys they kind of maybe want to make a choice with, I think they'll make those choices in the practice field.
Yeah, and maybe some of those guys are making the choice for them. I mean, Kadarius Toney is helping them make the choice. Like it felt like all off season, like, dude, they like Kadarius Toney. He's going to be on the squad. Then they start off training camp, and man, he's getting snaps at running back. Like they are finding ways to put the ball in Kadarius Toney's hands. And now it's like he's not even getting on the field, and when he does, he has 2 penalties on one play, and you know, and it's just like he went from somebody I'm like, all right, well, he's going to be on the team whether I like it or not, to I don't see him if Dave Toub's going to be pounding the table for Nico Remigio, and we know that they like Sky Moore. I'm taking McCole Hardman over Kadarius Toney because there's no Hollywood Brown. Like the numbers start to work against Toney. And even Justin Ross to a degree. Like it almost feels like Toney, if you're looking at McCole Hardman, Nico Remigio, Sky Moore, Justin Ross, Kadarius Toney, in whatever way you might line them up, it feels like Kadarius Toney's in last place of those guys.
Maybe he'll get 30 snaps tomorrow.
Like he may play the entire second half.
Yeah, you have to go out there and play. Maybe you can get a job somewhere else. I don't know. You know, I thought it was interesting. You know, McCole didn't sound like yesterday is like that he's 1,000% sure he's on the team either. You know, nervous moments for him as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing given on this team once you get past a certain spot. Now, I think they feel like they've got a lot of good players who can play wide receiver and defensive back and all that stuff. But once you get past a few of them, there's a lot of them are probably not sleeping real sound here over the next few days.
Todd Lebo's
nervous times.
Yeah, absolutely. And nervous times for a lot of guys that maybe aren't going to make the squad, but hey, I got a chance tomorrow to put some, stuff on tape that maybe somebody will want me, or maybe even the Chiefs will want me back on the practice squad. Like that's part of it too. Like I'm trying to earn a spot on the practice squad.
Listen, they're passing out rings to those guys too. That's good money now too.
That's really good money.
I mean, it is. It's not some 15 years ago. It was just kind of it's like almost $200,000 jobs. If you're on the team the whole time.
Should Nico Remigio be nervous at all? Obviously, Dave Toub, what he said, that's fantastic. But the fact that Sky Moore looked really good in the kick return game,
I think he should absolutely be nervous. There's no sleeping soundly for Nico Remigio over the next 4 or 5 days.
I think the only guys that feel good or can sleep soundly are the top 4: Hollywood, Rice, Xavier, and Watson. After that, I think there are a lot of different combinations and scenarios that you can see with different guys. Like, Sky, Nico, McCole, Toney, Ross. I think any number of those guys could make up those final 3 spots. If they keep 7, if they only keep 6, then now you're talking about only 2 of those 5 making it.
Well, and here's what we know: this is obviously it's a Super Bowl roster because they've gone to 2 straight Super Bowls and won them both. They're going to be cutting good football players.
Yeah,
they just are, and it's not like when Andy first got here. They were picking up everyone else's scraps. The Chiefs' scraps are good football players now. So a lot of these guys, will get a chance somewhere else probably if they get cut. Now, if that's Kadarius Toney, I don't know, man, if he's going to get a chance somewhere. I suppose someone will give you a shot to try to play maybe because whatever, you were a first-round talent, all that stuff. But it's just it amazes me that for someone who has so much on the line, this is what they've gotten out of him. But they like a lot of things about him, and it maybe doesn't make sense to all of us, but they carried him on the roster all last year and just didn't have him active. Think about this. When's the last time Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney played in a football game for the Chiefs?
Patriots.
Right? Patriots game.
Yeah.
All right. So the most important games, they weren't on the team.
Yeah.
Or they were not. I mean, Sky was
on
hurt.
the field together,
But Kadarius, was he hurt? Was he not hurt? You tell me.
Right.
I don't know. Check Instagram. I don't know. But they were. I think they were definitely healthy by the time it came to the Super Bowl, and they chose not to have them active for that. So if they're not going to have them, one or both of them, active for that, what makes you think they really want them to be active for this season?
Yeah.
Except that Sky looks like he's taken it to heart and gotten better, and he was truly, I think, more hurt last year. But why would you, if you don't want Kadarius Toney playing in the most important games, why would you have him playing to start the season?
Well, and I think Sky, certainly did himself some favors in how good he looked on the kick returns.
He's doing something to look better.
He's offering you something, and I keep going back to the fact that anything that was voluntary, Kadarius Toney skipped this summer.
Right,
like he didn't show.
And they seem to be okay with that. They understand that some people don't respond well. He is one of these people who doesn't respond well to come on, get in here, do this, do that, and that's fine, that you can live your life that way. He's got other interests and all that kind of stuff, but that's not the standard really here in Kansas City.
Well, I was going to say, what is the precedent you want to set as well? Because I've been saying the whole time, Kadarius is walking around like he knows they have to pay him $2 million, whether he's on the team or not.
Good point.
And if you keep him on the team, you're showing everyone else in that situation in the future that, hey, man, he had the worst reputation among fans and probably the coaches and stuff, and had a really bad training camp, but we had to pay him $2 million, so he's on the 53.
So we kept him, yeah. Money dictated
Yeah.
roster spot.
Like Belichick was saying yesterday that he wanted to pay Judon last year, but he
Yeah.
told him to be at practice because then we're going to have, quote, a 15-man parade in every 2 years away from their contract asking for money and not showing up to practice.
Yeah.
So it just sets a precedent that I don't think the Chiefs want to
Well,
set.
here's the precedent the Chiefs have is this. The best player in the league runs OTAs, right?
Yeah.
And he's at
True.
almost every OTA.
Yep.
The best tight end in the league, who is 35 years old and has a global superstar girlfriend, was at almost every OTA, right? That's the standard.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Chris Jones, he does what Chris Jones does, okay? It works for him. But if they were all just not going to be a part of this thing, 100% bought in or 99% bought in the offseason, it's a bad look. That's why, I said here, I think the Ravens are a super talented roster. But Lamar Jackson doesn't – you need your quarterback to be there. And that's what, I remember, it wasn't this year, it was last year. I think we were talking to Travis, and he'd gone down to Dallas to catch passes in the offseason. He's like, if I get a chance to go catch passes from 15, I'm going to go do it. Okay. Well, that's what you want. You want that. So if Kadarius Toney has a chance to be there, he's chosen not to be there. Whatever. And he doesn't respond well to being told to be there. And because, by the way, I don't know if you've heard Andy say this. This is voluntary. All these things.
Hey, it's voluntary. They don't have to be here.
But it tells you something about your buy-in, that Mahomes is there and that they trust him enough to just run phase one.
Well, and there's an element of it's not like maybe being a jerk in the locker room the way that it was, Renelvis, where you're not good enough to be an AH, right? Where it's maybe to the point.
Apparently, they all love Kadarius.
That's sort of what I read from it. Like Travis Kelce has gone out of his way to defend Kadarius a number of times, and then when Clyde Edwards-Helaire had that very revealing press conference. The two guys he named,
JT's his guy. Yeah.
He said Kadarius Toney and Travis Kelce are the ones that can read him and see that something's off, and then they talk to him about it. He clearly, the guys like him as a teammate. It's just whatever is not computing with the other things. And so it's like, Runelvis, you're not good enough to be an AH. Not that Kadarius Toney is that, but it's like, Kadarius, you're not dominant enough to be a guy that doesn't show up to these things and does this during training camp. Chris Jones,
you're good enough. Yeah.
He's doing all those things in the Super Bowl. Okay, there's some leeway with Chris Jones because he gets on the field and he dominates guys on the field.
Dog, I might be a good guy. I would be a great vibe guy in the Chiefs locker room. I ain't good enough to be on the field.
Let me be the vibe guy.
Kadarius Toney might be a vibe guy in the locker room, might be a nice dude.
Right.
He ain't good enough to be on the field.
I don't even think he's that, to be honest.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he might just be a guy that guys like, but is he a vibe guy? I don't know. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire clearly thinks of him as somebody that's close because he can talk with him about what's going on with the PTSD. Kelsey didn't have to go out of his way as much
Clyde
as he
is
did.
absolutely a vibe guy, though. I mean,
That's true. You're right about that. They like Clyde from that standpoint.
Yeah. But that's another interesting choice, too, because, like, right now, Clyde has performed okay as a player, and he hasn't performed up to first-round draft pick, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But once you're in the league, forget about the first-round part. I know it's hard to.
Sunk
Kadarius
cost,
Toney,
Lebo.
and-
It's a
and
sunk cost.
It's done, right? Now you're a football player. And he has not been healthy at times. Some of it like injury, and some of it, he's got the stomach stuff, and he's got, what he's been honest about with the PTSD. And some of it is he just hasn't performed like the way you want. But they like him, and he likes being a Chief. I don't know what it was like for him, if he had other contract offers, whatever. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. And I don't know if people were calling him. It seems to me like maybe he'd get a chance for one of these other teams to go play. But I'm telling you, man, it's better to be a Chief and get 8 touches a game than it is to be a lot of other places, especially in his situation where you're comfortable being where you are. You're comfortable with your teammates, and they like you. And I'm telling you, I've told the stories before. He is a team guy. 2 years ago when he had lost his job to Isaiah Pacheco, and Pacheco fumbled the ball against Jacksonville near the end of the half in the regular season game. I got my binoculars. I'm looking down there, and Clyde is the first guy who meets him when he comes off the field. Looks him straight in the eye, and he's giving him encouragement, stuff like that. That's a guy who just lost his job to a rookie, and he's helping him. Those guys aren't, falling off trees everywhere in the league. They don't grow on trees like third basemen. It's just different, man. He's a good dude that way for sure.
But third basemen do grow on trees, though, don't they? I mean, haven't we seen that
apparently.
before? Speaking of some baseball, I want to get your thoughts before we let you go and get back to entertaining everybody there with Robert Brogdon. But Johnny Cueto's returned to Kansas City a couple of times.
Johnny Baseball.
Johnny Baseball has run to Kansas City a couple of times. He hasn't pitched this year, but has the appreciate we'll always appreciate him in 2015, but like the appreciation of standing ovation for Johnny Cueto, is that sort of worn off? That tonight you go out there, he pitches for the Angels, all right, cool, he's pitching for the Angels. I don't really, need to give him a standing ovation like maybe in 2021.
I don't know if he'll get a standing O. It's been enough time.
It's been a while, but that's still.
I'm sure he'll get a nice round of applause.
Love what he did.
A lot of people will be shocked that he exists and is an Angel.
They might be shocked if you don't know who's pitching tonight to find out that Johnny Cueto's pitching tonight. Because
I'll tell you what, I learned that Johnny Cueto was part of the Angels organization yesterday. So that's what I learned.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's right. Because he returned 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was with the White Sox a couple years ago.
That's right.
So, and I think it was his first appearance that year too. He had just come up out of the minors.
Of this season, yeah.
I learned today that he was a Marlin last year and pitched like 5 times.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Now I know. Now I know. But
hey, man.
Yeah, it's a great career.
He's 38 years old, man. Let's go.
He's going to have a hell of an immaculate grid for sure down the road.
Oh, dude.
Johnny Cueto on a lot of options.
You're right about that. Yeah.
I've
never played the immaculate
File that
grid.
away for the Marlin Angel.
Matt
Johnny Cueto.
Stairs, Johnny Cueto, Octavio Dotel.
Fernando Rodney.
Oh,
Fernando Rodney's another great one.
Edwin Jackson's also really good.
guys.
Edwin Jackson.
Look at you guys.
No hitter.
Well done.
Edwin Jackson, by the way.
Okay, great. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, Cueto, Red, Giant, Royal, Marlin, Sock, Southsider,
Southsider, all of them
as well. Todd Lebo, you were there at Robert Brogdon. Let the people know what's going on there before we let you go.
All right, come on out here Saturday. They've got the big customer appreciation celebration. It's going to be all day long on Saturday. They're going to have a food truck. They're going to have, giveaways for test drives and all that. They've got great 30-day money-back guarantee they've always had out here at Brogdon. It is the number one GM dealer, the number one Brogdon dealer in the state, or Buick dealer in the state of Kansas. They've got a wonderful staff out here, and they've got a lot of stock right now. So they're ready to make deals. So if you're looking for a new vehicle, they've got great stuff here, all the new Buicks and GMCs, and they're looking to deal them. So come on out here today. We'll be here till 2 o'clock. But also the big customer celebration is happening on Saturday. It's going to be a great time at Robert Brogdon's Olathe Buick GMC, online at robertbrogdon.com, in person out here at I-35 in Santa Fe.
Appreciate you, Todd.
All right, boys.
All right, there's Todd Lebo, Robert Brogdon, Buick GMC, where he is at today. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. More Zone next. ZOUs.
MIZ.
No, the zone over-unders.
Oh.
Update to the zone over-unders, the ZOUs. We'll do that in the 1 o'clock hour.
When are the EMAs?
Every
minute.
Every month wager.
Every month a wager. Oh.
Every month we have a big bet.
Yeah, I like
amongst the four of us.
We
got an
should have
EMA.
an EMA.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making a note of that.
Okay. You should
EMA.
make a note of that.
You get a sticker.
Thank you.
That's a sticker.
Awesome. We got to get those
We have
helmets
the
in here.
Yeah, the helmets.
We got to get
we're
those
really,
helmets.
We're really good at ideas,
I'm gonna
but
let
really
you know what?
bad at.
I'm going to let you buy the full-size real helmets. If that's
Helmets?
cool with you.
I'm making
that'd be
notes.
great. Yep.
Sticker.
You know he's making
Idea.
notes because he's typing right now. And you know he's really typing because you hear it in the background. It can't be fake typing. It's got to be real typing. You wouldn't be doing that if it was fake typing.
Month a wager. Boom.
Oh,
There.
he was really typing. How about that? Those were words right there, written right on the screen.
Why would I lie to you?
Typed out.
Have I ever lied to you?
I actually don't know. That would be something that you would know. When you lay your head down at night, you would know if you're a liar or not. Only you know.
I'm an honest gentleman, Jason.
Good for you. Good for you. One of those, I believe. So the NFL.com has their list of every team's most likely first-time Pro Bowler. That makes sense. So every team in the NFL, a player that is the most likely to be named to their first ever Pro Bowl. The Chiefs is an easy one.
Well, it's kind of cheap because he was an all-pro.
Right. Exactly. He's the rare all-pro, non-Pro Bowler.
It's like Mitchell Schwartz.
Yes. Which is exactly what they write there. That this is kind of an easy one. He's the rare first-team all-pro that's not been a Pro Bowler.
They saved that for the end.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we got this one taken care of. Let's do all the other 31.
Chiefs were good. We're good. We got Trent McDuffie. It's all good. I'm actually look, I don't pay a whole lot of attention as to who all is named to a Pro Bowl every year. You know why? Because I'm not caring about who's playing in the Pro Bowl because the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl. Okay, there's been one time in the time that I have covered the Chiefs since I moved back and been hosting this show. There has been one time where Chiefs players actually were there at the Pro Bowl. Okay, the other times don't care. Don't care about what's going on.
The Chiefs actually have a couple of options you could go for.
Do they though?
Well, McDuffie.
Yeah.
I think Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
Butker's never been a Pro Bowler,
Wow.
which is pretty surprising.
I didn't realize that.
So, I think Trey Smith has yet. And then you could get bold and try and say Nick Bolton, right? Because Nick Bolton has not been
Bolden.
You can get Bolden.
Bolden.
Yeah.
You could say Rashee Rice, but I'm look through here. I'm actually surprised by some of the names. Like there are some names in here that I'm like, wow, he hasn't made a Pro Bowl like in his career. Like
Hollywood Brown has yet to make one.
Yeah, that's probably injury induced oftentimes. But like Atlanta Falcons, Bijan Robinson. Okay, makes sense. Yes, he's supposed to. They're going to use him like Christian McCaffrey this year, right?
Sure.
Which is what every single fantasy football league draft is also saying. Every person that's drafted in the last month's like, Bijan Robinson, he's going to be Christian McCaffrey this year. But then there are some names where it's like Chicago Bears. I didn't realize that 7 years DJ Moore's never made a Pro Bowl. Not one time. Like out of all the players that make Pro Bowls, like I'm not talking about an All-Pro.
The last like two in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
T. Higgins hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet.
Not surprising.
In year 5.
Well, because you got to think about wide receivers too. There's so many damn good wide receivers,
right?
And he's good, but he's not elite.
Yeah. Was looking through here. J.K. Dobbins with the Chargers, which, by the way,
I am not surprised he's not made one.
I'm not surprised he hasn't made one because of the injuries. But the fact that, I look at this and, we just got through talking in the 11 o'clock hour, about Edwards-Helaire and then saying, no, Dobbins was here on a visit. And maybe it was a physical that they didn't trust and they let him walk. And then he goes to the Chargers and signs a 1 year, $1.6 million contract. And, the Chiefs aren't exactly, it's not like he signed a 3-year deal or something that's very doable. I mean, it's roughly what they're paying Clyde Edwards-Helaire anyway.
If I'm not mistaken, there was some underlying situation with J.K. Dobbins in regards to, one, he wanted a ton of money to begin with. That didn't happen because of the injuries. Two, he wanted to be the guy. Like there was
true. There's no Eckler in LA.
Yeah,
now.
there was some situation where he wanted to be the guy.
So if he's got a choice between the same exact contract with the Chiefs and the Chargers,
yes,
Chargers, I'm the guy, and Eckler's at a different team, and Pacheco's still there getting the first team reps. That makes sense. Looking through here, Chris Olave with the Saints hasn't made a.
But when you're that young,
Yeah, right.
Like
I mean, some of these are younger guys. Devontae Smith in year 4 hasn't made one yet. That's a little surprising.
Again,
it's
there's
also,
just so many
it's also,
good wide
again,
receivers.
A number of these are wide receivers, but here's one that's really going to surprise you. In year 5, I would have guessed he would have been a multi-time Pro Bowler. But it goes to the really good wide receivers out there. I didn't realize Brandon Ayuk's never been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, it's shocking.
I mean,
surprising.
In year 5, yeah. And then the Tennessee Titans, L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
Who would they have chosen if he was still a Chief, huh? Would it have been Sneed or McDuffie? Who do you choose? Most likely to be a Pro Bowler between these two guys.
Brian McDuffie, honestly.
Yeah, he was an All-Pro. I mean, so if you're an All-Pro and not a Pro Bowler, you would think that maybe you would have a best chance of being named a Pro Bowler.
Brandon Ayuk was All-Pro last year.
So he's
Not
also another guy that's the All-Pro, non-Pro Bowler. Yeah, that was that's really surprising that he has not been one. But I thought that was interesting just because the McDuffie one was kind of easy. But then seeing some names there, they're like, there's some stars in the NFL.
Outside of McDuffie, who on the Chiefs is a Pro Bowler this year? Who's not been one?
Karlaftis?
Karlaftis could be.
Good one. Nick Bolton, Trey Smith, Harrison Butker.
I think Butker probably because he gets the contract. People talked about how good he is. He had an amazing season last year.
Yep.
If he comes close to that season, I think Butker's probably the most likely option there to do that. I'll go with Butker.
Kingsley Sumatia.
You know what? I'm going Kingsley. hour. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. Royals and Angels, game number 3, the rubber match they call it. Coming up tonight at 7:10.
Royals have been horrible at those this season.
They are not good at rubber matches. So maybe they'll be better tonight.
I can't believe Johnny Cueto is still playing baseball.
38 years old and still rocking, man.
That was 9 years ago.
That's so long
and he
ago.
was an established guy at that point.
The Royals went out and got the veteran Johnny Cueto to come in and help them win a World Series.
He
and
might
9
be too
years
old
later,
9 years ago. 9 years ago. Is he too old?
Yeah. Listen, we all get slower in our old age, right? Is he slower on the pause at the top? Is he holding it for maybe like 15, 20 seconds now?
Also, is it cheating if there's like 2 seconds left on the pitch clock and he starts that, and while doing that, he can still get the pitch from the what is it, the
pitch com?
Yeah, the pitch com. He's in the middle of his like going back and forth, and it's like fastball away. All right, now
I
can
don't think
throw.
he doesn't have anything in his ear, right? He's the one that programs it and sends it to the catcher. I don't think the pitchers have anything in their ear.
Yeah, the pitchers
Some do.
Do they?
It depends.
Yep, Tyler
The
Anderson.
fielders do.
Tyler Anderson has it in his glove.
Yeah.
And he puts it up next to his
To
ear
listen, okay.
to listen
I
in.
see.
And then Lugo, a lot of them stick it right on the inside of their hat.
Lugo's got on his belt.
Lugo's
right?
got the number to punch in the number on his
Yes.
belt, but he also has something where he can listen to Salvi when Salvi calls the.
And,
the
and if you're a Cleveland fan, then actually Bobby Witt Jr. actually has one inside his hat that can pick up the
other teams.
The other teams, according to Cleveland fans.
That is correct. That is correct.
And what is it? 7 fielders can have it? It's a weird number. Like, why can't all of them? It's like almost all of them are allowed to have it.
Only as many dwarfs.
Yes.
So if there were more than that, then you could have more.
If there were more deadly sins, you could have that. Yeah. If there were 9, you could do it.
Great wonders of the world.
That's
If
right.
There,
yes.
If there were
yes.
more,
There were more wonders. If there were more chipmunks trolling on a branch eating lots of
Dylan,
sunflowers
your
on my
turn.
uncle's ranch. Do
Dylan,
you remember
your
the old
turn. Get us
nursery
started.
rhyme from the sea?
7 C's.
If
there were
only
only more, there were more 11s.
If there were more, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman movies had they made
Yes.
sequels called 8 and 9.
Yeah, just more 11s.
Continents. If there were more than
good
7
one, yeah.
continents.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless
yeah.
you're British and there's only 6 continents according to them. They're just
Really?
silly. Yeah.
What's not counting? Antarctica?
It's either North and South America is just America, or it's
They don't count North America. They lost
no,
it.
no, you know what it is? I think it's
Yeah.
like Eurasia.
No, we lost
They
it. We're
lost
not.
it.
We don't acknowledge.
We don't acknowledge
That's-
that.
You know
It's-
what? That's not even
sunk
a
into
continent.
the sea
Who cares?
decades ago.
That's not even. That's not even a
We
continent.
even won it.
Yeah, like we gave it to you. We gave it away because it's not even. We don't even acknowledge it. It's not
Did you
even
see
on
how
our-
we fought? We just lined guys up in a row.
We showed up wearing red coats. We weren't hiding, okay? We were giving this to you. We sent our worst, actually. The least of us. The least among us is what we sent.
Or maybe they don't recognize
Mostly are criminals.
Australia either, because that's
Could
where
be
they sent
Australia
their
part of
criminals.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
don't
maybe
recognize
it
it.
is Australia. Maybe there's only like 2
Yeah, that's
continents.
what it is. They
It's
count-
Australia?
They were taught overseas, Europe, Asia, Africa, America, Oceania, and Antarctica.
So Oceania's like Australia and like all those millions of islands out there.
I guess. Then,
Okay.
But and then
So they've
America
just
is
changed the
just
continents, too. So
all
they
the
just, like-
yeah, they're just silly over there. How are they so bad? Like
That's a lot. That's a lot of landmass to just call one.
Yeah.
One kind. And there's a really. We're separated, right? Panama Canal. We're separated.
Yes. That's right.
The
you know?
British butchered their own language they created.
Yeah.
They stole spices, decided we don't need these.
Yeah.
They have the worst food. It's just brutal.
They haven't discovered hygiene.
They don't have no hygiene.
Or ranch, I think, as well.
Ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing.
They don't have
Boom. Or AC units. What are they doing? They were so far out ahead, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
28-3.
They had 3-1 lead. They blew it.
They blew
were
it.
they were the hare. You know, everybody else has
Beat me
been the
to it.
tortoise.
Beat me to it.
they were the hare. They had a 3-1 lead, and everybody else has been LeBron
And
and the
Brad,
Cavs.
Brad Lidge comes to the mound.
They were the Warriors, and everybody else has been the Cavs. It's everybody's caught up and surpassed them. It's a
America
great
was
point.
Albert Pujols, and they were Brad Lidge.
That's it.
And
that right?
that ball got
Okay.
torched.
No, I like that. Yeah. So America is a guy from the Dominican. Love it, which is great because
Well,
he grew up here.
He grew up around here. In,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Went to
so
Fort.
Fort Osage.
Went to Fort Osage.
How we got to this by talking about PitchCom.
Yep.
Okay.
How else would we get to it?
knowing us, there's an infinite number of routes.
Well,
to
there
get
was.
there. Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
It turns out there are. Sorry about that. There are 8 defenders I can use.
Dang it.
So we'll take care of that in post.
About the 1996 Oscars now, if we can get back to that conversation from
I
last
spent
week.
like 10 minutes on the 94 Oscars. It was a good 10 minutes, though.
It was probably the one you would want to spend some time on.
It was worth it. It was one of the best conversations we've had, and I don't care what anybody and any of our bosses have told us about it since. I ignore what they say about those conversations.
Yeah,
We
I don't
had
care
fun.
about the verbal warning at all.
Yeah, no, we had fun. That's all that really matters. Mick Schaefer is with us. 38 the spot tomorrow night, right?
That's right.
Yes, 38 the
38
spot.
Hey, the Chiefs though are streaming it on their website.
I saw that. Thank you to Nick Jacobs for alerting everybody to that.
If 38 is not an option, if going to a bar is not an option, if HD antenna is not an option, they're streaming it on their website.
So that's great. So KCChiefs.com, or you can Google their website. Just find it. But they are streaming that. I didn't realize that they did that. That would have been nice to
Neither
have
did
handy
I,
2 weeks
oddly
ago.
enough, until recently.
Yes, a couple of Saturdays ago could have used that one. would have been that'd have been nice. Been great.
I still want mean tweets to be tweeted out or emails.
Oh,
to
we'll
make
get
sure
them.
We'll
we're-
get
so
them.
we
Absolutely,
can
we'll get them.
we can
We'll get those Friday.
Already got some.
Oh, really?
Already? Wow. Prior.
For me?
Can you read?
These are all Dylan burner accounts.
For me. There should be some for me this week,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure. If there's any YouTube TV 38 the spot ones, I would like to.
Yeah, I know, right? Because people are like, "Oh, I heard Dylan on 810 said that just for this week only, YouTube TV." is
Can
picking
you
up
read the
38."
ones so far? Do you have 1 or 2 that you can share with the class?
I don't know if I can dial it up, but
Yeah, maybe not this segment. Maybe
Well,
segment,
I just
maybe
mean
next
in
segment.
general, it'd be
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I would. I like hearing those. I didn't hear them from last Monday.
You missed out
He's
there.
being
Yeah.
respectful and waiting till I'm out of the room to read the emails.
Let me tell you
they
what I
sent
think about
me.
that Dylan fella. Okay, got a real problem with him. Speaking of Dylan, you see that Dylan Raiola for Nebraska has been named the starting quarterback,
wow.
which would make
The hefty Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah, the Mahomes lookalike. That was pretty crazy when he showed up to camp looking almost exactly like Mahomes, and then he moves like him, runs around like him, throws like him. Does a lot of things like him.
I knew of Dominic Raiola. I knew he was at Nebraska. I didn't know that was him. I didn't know he looked like that. He was carrying that much weight. He had that haircut. Yeah, no, that's I didn't know that was a quarterback walking in.
Number 3 ranked quarterback, number 11 overall player in the 24 class at ESPN, transfer from Georgia.
Dad was a lineman, though.
Well, he's listed at 6'3", 230. That's
He's
a
a little
big
bigger,
boy.
yeah.
For a.
Pat's probably not too far from that.
He's a big
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, but Pat's also what 8 years older.
He's wearing number 15 too.
Yeah,
I saw
but
that
I
today.
also
Oh,
would
is
like,
he?
like
Yeah.
I honestly, it would have to be a Nebraska fan that would. I don't know who he would have been competing with.
He was competing
Because-
against another true freshman,
Okay, that's
Daniel Kalen, as well as junior Heinrich Herberg.
Oh, is he related to Kirk?
Kirk Heinrich, yeah, that's good.
Because both or at least 2 of their quarterbacks that played last year have transferred. Because Purdy is now at Nevada, and the Sims kid is at Arizona State. He'll be playing, a little bit this
Wonder
year.
if that was a, hey, why don't you transfer?
You know what? I mean, maybe once Raiola
Raiola?
decided to transfer from Georgia, those guys might have been like, all right, well,
That too.
I can see the tea leaves.
That too, yeah.
If I'm going to play, let me go somewhere else and play.
Still crazy as a true freshman, though. I mean, that's
To start for Nebraska?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nebraska's not a
Well,
powerhouse,
no,
but
it's still. I mean, it's still a
Power 5.
I mean, it's a
Matt
Power
Rule, I
5
think,
team.
is like getting his guy some reps early when it's kind of we're on the way back, and then hopefully by his junior year they'll be humming.
I mean, but
Well,
it's all like
Matt
it
Rule
hasn't
will be
been.
there. That's ballsy.
Was
for
he
Matt
there
Rule.
for spring ball? Was he one of those guys that graduated early?
That's a good question. I'm sure there'd be highlights if there was. Let me see.
I don't know.
Sorry, thought you guys knew stuff.
He's no Avery Johnson.
I was even saying who competed last year. Like, I mean, so I was out on that.
Yep, he did participate.
Yeah,
He went.
there you go.
That helps.
16 of
Yes.
22, 239, 2 TDs, and an interception.
That's all I need to hear.
That's
Start
in the
him.
spring ball. Yeah, 16 of
Yeah.
22. You kidding me?
On Big Ten
That was against the
football,
black shirts,
That's
though,
the
right?
black shirts.
Yeah.
Boys,
Beat you to
okay.
it. Ah, yeah, beat them to it. There you go. Yes.
Every throw from it, if you need to see, it's on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, let's look it up and describe it right now. Should we describe? Did he throw one
Play-by-play.
behind the back?
I'll do a
Has he throw one behind the back?
dramatic read.
Well,
of
you
the,
know what Patrick Mahomes did his very first play in college football?
It was a touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill.
No, he fumbled. but he was playing against Oklahoma State.
Oh, darn it. Didn't Tyreek Hill score in that game? I'm just joking.
I don't think
Tyreek Hill was drafted. Right? I mean, he would have been.
No, not his first game. Tyreek would have still been there.
That's right.
Because 16 would have been Mahomes last year, right?
Yep.
And then so his first year would have been 14, and that was Tyreek's last year at Oklahoma State.
Oh yeah, so that's Oklahoma State. But maybe
What
Mahomes'
happened?
first game as a starter, Tyreek scored. There's
Well,
something
a lot.
connection there.
One of those things that happened was he beat Oklahoma on a punt return, 90-yard punt return with like a minute left.
They kicked it twice, right?
They did. It was Jordan Stearns, who used to be a Chief. He was like a practice squad guy with the Chief. He ran into the kicker.
Yep.
And so 5 yards up, Bob Stoops, and Tyreek had called a fair catch at like the 12. And Bob Stoops, I get the coaching move. He was like, well, let's take some more time off because there was less than a minute left. And so they punted it again, and he decided to take it to the house at that
It's
point.
the biggest no-no in special teams.
Yep. Punted
Your
again.
guys are exhausted. They're running down the field, and they got to come back and do it again.
That's a big part of it. And, he heard it for a long time.
Yeah. So he's now starting at Nebraska. They are 4 games away from reaching 400 consecutive sellouts. Nebraska is.
That's insane, too, because
Is
of
that
the-
against Colorado? Like, boy, that'd be badass
Yes,
if that was against
it
Colorado. Let
is.
me look it up. Colorado's
Well,
early in
no,
the
no,
season.
no, you're
So
right.
they're going to hit it.
It might be a Dakota or like one of those.
It's early in the year, so they're at
cupcakes.
It's wild for a team that's not been good since Ndamukong Suh's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 396.
That
and
was their
then-
last championship game, wasn't it?
So this is
The Big
it's
12
a-
was, right?
Yeah.
Colorado's
Their last
week.
Big 12 game.
Colorado's
Yeah.
week 2, so that'd be 398. It's Illinois at home. Not as sexy as Prime coming to town for sellout consecutive number 400, but
Do you believe now, Jason? Do you believe?
I think Matt Rule's a really good coach. But the thing is, though, I was wrong about Scott Frost because I said, boy, if Scott Frost can't turn this thing around, then well, maybe I was right. I don't know. I said if Scott Frost can't turn it around with what he
Nobody
did
can.
with what he did at UCF and being a guy that understands the history and the culture and what Nebraska football is to that area and can sell it better than maybe anybody else. If that doesn't work, then I'm not sure there's somebody out there that can make it work.
You know what I think is
We'll see if Matt Rule can.
They went 5-7 last year.
Yeah.
You know what I think is hurt Nebraska that not enough people talk about is the emergence of those 4 Dakota schools. Now, I get their FCS, right? But they are at the very top of FCS. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, which means if you're top FCS, there's overlap there. You're a middle-of-the-road FBS program, right? We see it all the time. They're beating the FBS teams. And we see guys all over the NFL now from those Dakota teams where back in the day, all those guys might have just dropped down a state or two and gone to Nebraska, and now you don't have I was going to say Carson Steele, but not Carson Steele. Who's the
Carson Wentz.
Cochran? I think Jack Cochran is from Dakota, and so many
Trey
quarterbacks:
Lance.
Trey Lance, Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So many Easton Stick. I don't know if he's still with anybody
He was
anymore.
with the Chargers,
But
right?
Dallas Goddard, right? Dallas Goddard's one, and so many of those guys are that program. Those programs I've seen them up close. Those are major college players there who get drafted, who land UDFA contracts all over the place now.
Just
They're
don't
not
do
going
the
to Nebraska
quarterback
anymore.
Don't do the quarterback position. Any other position I think's fine, but by that list you listed off
Yeah,
there,
I don't know if they've had
Wentz and Lance.
Oh no, how about Chris
Stick as well.
Oladokin,
Chris
South Dakota
Oladokin,
State?
there you go. See,
Yeah.
Oladokin. So you got some guys that have played around in the NFL.
I stand
mean,
corrected. Yeah.
Two-thirds of
If
the
you've got-
Chiefs quarterbacks are from the Dakotas.
But think about that. Oladoka hasn't played in an NFL game yet, but Easton Stick has. Carson Wentz, first round draft pick. Trey Lance, number 3 pick. You're talking about 4 guys that are playing quarterback in the NFL from that area, those schools. That's pretty legit, though.
And it's not just
I mean,
those positions. A lot of times
yeah.
it's those big boys that grew up
Yes,
on
right.
farms, right? Those interior line positions, and we'll see the fullbacks and the tight ends as well.
Yeah, Carson Steele went there, right? No. He looks like he
would have
should
fit in there. Yes,
He's got a pet alligator.
He does not.
should have gone
He does
there.
not look like he spent a year at UCLA. He's
Yes.
much more the Ball State type.
Well, that's when he grew the hair out and it went blonde. He was actually a short hair, brunette. And then he went to UCLA. Now he's got a surfer hair. I think it's odd that he's talking like that. It's weird.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, dude. Maybe I'll just be playing fullback.
I got an alligator and I named it Crocodile.
They said I could play fullback, which is cool, but I kind of look like a fullback, but I'm really a running back. My alligator tells me that I can do anything I want if I believe in it.
I love how we made him Spicoli.
Yeah, I know. And he's not that at all. He's a great talker. He's been tremendous to talk to the most times we've talked with him, and he's
Like,
he'll engage.
He's listening right now.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't sound like that. Do I sound like that? Crocky J, do I sound like that? No, dude, you sound like whatever you want to sound. You're the one that's, damn it, it's the alligator the whole time's been talking.
It's funny how like he's named his alligator Crocky, and he's Crocky J, and he's a running back, but they're kind of calling him a fullback, right? Same thing's going on there. They're different positions, different animals, but really they're the same, right?
I feel like you're the same. Yeah, I mean, who can really tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile?
What about a caiman? You throw a caiman in there, and you're
so the snout, and then also which teeth? The bottom teeth on one of them are pointing up and out, and the top teeth on the other one is pointing down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And then a lot of times the crocodile is a narrower snout than a wider snouted alligator.
I guess I just haven't gotten
coloring
close to
can
one.
be different too.
Just haven't gotten close to that one.
So apparently I know the difference.
You got to hop the fence and then get real close.
Honey, I think this is. Yep, it's a croc. It's definitely a croc. You see the way it went into my arm? The teeth mark right there. It's digging deeper. I'm going to need you to call somebody, please. But let them know it's a crocodile that's bitten me, not an alligator.
Why are teams the Gators and very rarely the
Dials?
The Dials.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a great call. Yeah. There's gators and no dials.
No dials.
Crocs?
Crocs, yeah.
It'd be Anthony Richardson. He owns like 400 pair of Crocs.
A lot of Crocs and
crazy.
no alleys. Not many alleys.
Yeah.
Too.
Right.
I did think I had the moment of the pregame show when I said, I delivered the story. My Packers was on Carson Steele, and I said, he's been saying, see you later to defenders, and after a while, he could make this team's roster.
I hated it.
So good. God, it was so bad it was good.
I'm going to let you believe that.
as well.
Well, we'll do we'll try to figure out the email.
And what does that stand for?
Every month a wager.
I'm close to, if we wanted to do a FOG, a PHOG, it could be something like something House of Gambling.
People's House of Gambling.
Something like that.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
I was thinking maybe
What's your middle name?
Michael.
Yeah.
Peichel.
Nope, doesn't work. I was thinking maybe
There's a P.
we would do a rock chalk where we would just rock with the most expected win.
Right. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Rocking with the chalk.
That's good.
Let's rock chalk. What's your rock chalk this week? I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going Royals over Angels tonight. I mean, it's just like they're minus 225. They should win that game. You know what? I'm going to rock with the chalk with the Royals.
I can't say those two words.
You actually can.
I can say fog.
You guys were over there the other day, right?
Just yesterday. What are you talking about?
They were great people to work with. They were awesome.
But you can't say their name?
But they were so awesome
I can say rock, but I can't say the rock and then the second word.
You can't? Really? Like you just did it.
Like I can't do it.
Is it like liar, liar, Jim Carrey trying to tell a lie?
I think that's it. Yeah.
You're
you guys, you
liar,
need
liar.
to be grown-ups, okay,
Yeah, right?
and be unbiased sports journalists,
you
okay?
guys.
I'm very unbiased. I had a great
This
time.
fella right here.
Jalen Daniels, phenomenal. Lance Leipold. I'm ripping the over. I'm ripping the over of wins. I think KU football is in a great spot right now.
What's they're saying?
So you say, can you say Jayhawks?
I can say Jayhawks.
Okay.
Can you say beware of the fog?
I can say fog.
But you can't say beware of in front of?
What is
this?
this?
It's a weird little condition you
It
have.
is odd.
It's
Yeah.
a very.
So you can't say rock chalk?
What happened? I just I lost time again.
What do you speak? What language
Edward,
is that?
he's Ed Norton Jr.
What language?
I lost time. What happened? I didn't know what I said. I said something and then everything went dark.
I am unbiased though. Okay.
Oh sure.
Like
can tell.
KU football is gonna be good. I'm just not gonna.
Are there Mizzou sayings you can't say? Can you say, would it be like...
I mean, I went to Mizzou. I can say those.
Can you say
things.
everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
And K-State, my fiance went to K-State.
So you're
I
kind
can
of a little biased,
I
it
can
sounds
say
like, yeah.
Emaw.
Oh, okay. I
Say
see how it
Emaw.
is. I see how it is. So could you say you like saying Mizzou over rock chalk? Can you say that?
I do like saying that.
No, but can you say that exact sentence? Repeat after me. I, Sterling,
No.
take
I feel like this is a trick. I have to get back with my lawyer on this one.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm just wondering. All right, let's go to the. You could say ZOU though. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with
okay,
ZOU,
great. Let's go to the ZOUs, and this was the zone over unders before we do the every month a wager.
By the way, that Pasquantino batting average thing might not be over.
It's over. There's only like 30-something games left. That was a little. I should have flipped those. Too aggressive with Pasquantino, not aggressive enough in the MVP. The MVP was just dumb. I was just trying not to be too overly optimistic, and I chose wrong. You chose poorly. All right, let's go through the ZOUs here and what they're pacing for. Cole Reagan's, we had the over-under at 10.5 wins. He would have knocked it out yesterday. He's at 10. That would have made 11. He's got about, 5-6 starts left, and he needs one more win.
He'll get it.
I'm the only one that had the over. On the 10.5. Thank you.
job, guy.
I appreciate that. Michael Waka ERA. We set it at 3.8. Over meant worse. Under meant better. He is pacing for a 3.33 ERA. The only person that went under on that was Sterling.
Yeah, baby.
Leads the team in saves. James MacArthur still has 17. Saves.
18.
He has 18 now?
Yeah, he's 18.
Oh, he's got 18. Good for him. James MacArthur has 18. Urseg only has 2, but it doesn't matter because nobody picked Urseg. That would have been crazy if somebody would have picked Urseg.
He would have won MIZs forever.
I'm going to go Lucas Urseg, I think. Maybe Chris Bubich. I'm not sure. Who's going to be the one of the best fifth starters for the Michael Lorenzen. I'm going to go Michael Lorenzen. I had James MacArthur. Sterling had James MacArthur.
I went with Hunter Henry. So I almost got it, but
The tight end, Hunter Henry.
or the
Hunter Harvey.
Hunter Harvey.
Dylan and Mick went Will Smith. But you just meant the actor singer.
I did.
Maybe.
Does Will Smith have any saves? Does he have
one.
as many as the actor singer?
He has as many as Nick Anderson and Sam Long.
He and the real Will Smith have combined for one.
Yeah. Okay.
The bullpen total saves.
He's just here for that good World Series juju.
He's a good clubhouse guy. He knows what it's like.
He's
to win
won
the
3
postseason.
straight.
Right. You bring that guy in, you go to the World Series. It's science. So we set the bullpen total saves for the season for the Royals at 35.5. They have 30, which is pacing for 39. I'm the only one that went under on that one. So you guys went over. They need 6 more saves in the final, 30 some odd games?
Yeah.
I think they'll
get there.
I think they'll get 30 to 6 more saves, especially with Urseg pitching like he is. So I think you 3 are fine with that. Team wins. We set the over-under at Vegas's 74.5, which they're 5 away from now. They're pacing for 90, even with last night's loss. Me, Dylan, and Sterling had the over. Mick had the under, which is still in play, Mick. So it is still in play.
You know what? I always go with the under on the Royals win. So overall, I've won these last several years by going under there.
You've been pretty good.
I
on
can
the
take
Royals.
this L.
You've been pretty good on the Royals so far. All right, Bobby Witt, home run, stolen bases. We set the over under at 70.5. He has 50 right now, pacing for 64. We all went over. So nobody gained or
I
lost anything.
laughed when I said over. Jeez.
So
what does he know about sports?
We all went over. We're like 70.5. Are you kidding me? That's easy.
He's ripped too many doubles and triples, and
he can't steal bases.
And he also gets picked off first a good amount, but I don't want to talk about that.
25 and 25. So look, he's another 5 and 5 away from a back-to-back 30-30 season. So he's good at baseball. I don't care what you guys say. So we all went over on that. Salvi's extra base hits. We set it at 43.5.
He's already probably passed it, right?
44. This one is the first one that is actually in the books. Me and Sterling went over. The only ones that went over.
Smart man.
Dylan and Mick went under. He's pacing for 57, but the pace doesn't matter because he's already got that.
I told you guys his prime is 34.
Is that right?
We say it for catchers' primes.
Yes, I remember that.
Vinny Pasquantino batting average. We put it at 299. He's pacing for 265 right now.
Because what is he hitting?
265. He's 268.
He went 2 for 3 last night, and it's 268.
I looked this morning at Baseball Reference. It was 265. So did they not add an extra game?
I'm on ESPN right now, and it says 268.
Okay, well, 268. I'm closer. There you go. Only 31 points
Just
away.
like that, you got 3 extra points.
I can see ESPN being more up to date than Baseball Reference. I can see them taking a little
the
bit.
next day would have to.
I love how the sport has 3 different websites that they use as their stats and analytics and everything, and all of them are accurate apparently.
MLB.com has been slow on standings and getting like the game will be in the book. The standings won't register sometimes for a few hours.
Yeah. Everything else is still the same, whether it was 70 and 55 or 70 and 56 with stolen bases, home run. Salvi's already got there. Pasquantino 268. Thank you. Renfroe and Velazquez home runs combined. We set the over-under. I think it should have been at 2. No, we set it at 44.5. They have 19. They are pacing for 24.
This is in the books.
This is pretty much in the books, but we haven't counted it as a win yet. But it does count on the column of who is currently has the under. That is me and Mick.
That would be cool if like Renfroe hit 25 in the next month plus. Deal with that.
Just every day. Just every game.
Every day.
Hit bombs.
Nuts, man. And then Cy Young MVP, Bobby Witt or Cole Reagan's finishing in the top 5. I was the only one that said, all right, I've been too optimistic on the Royals. All right, I don't want to get burned by being so optimistic. I'm going to say that he goes over the 70.5 home runs and stolen bases, and the Royals are going to go over, but he's going to finish 6th in MVP, or Reagan's going to finish 6th, although he's 7th betting favorite, but still. You 3 were smart enough to say yes, that either one, and you all thought that was easy, which I think it was. I was just trying to be contrarian. I wish I could flip the whole Pasquantino and Bobby Witt thing. That'd be great, but I can't. That's not how it works. I'm already we're on the record here. So, the final tally right now, with a few categories that are still up for grabs, so it's not over yet. Sterling with 7, and that Michael Wacha thing is going to be big because he's got some tough matchups coming up. So that can change. He's the only one with Michael Wacha under 3.33.
Gotcha.
I hope he's right about that because that means Michael Wacha is still
agreed
pitching awesome against some really good teams he's going up against. Because he would have to lose a whole half run.
Yeah,
it's a lot of runs to lose at this point in the season.
That's getting shelled.
So hopefully Sterling has out, and he's got 7. I am sitting with 5, and I think sitting pretty securely with 5 because Salvi's already done. Renfroe and Velazquez are not going to get the over. MacArthur is going to probably lead the team in saves unless I lose that one and somebody else does. But Cole Reagan's, I'm pretty confident, is going to get one more win the rest of the way, and the Royals are going to go so I think I'm pretty set at 5. Dylan and Mick both have 4. Both sitting up. We've never had a tie. We've never had a tie. All the
For
ZOUs.
last?
All the ZOUs
Really?
have done. We've never had somebody split lunch.
Wait, I think they
thought we did
they
it once.
both buy.
Well, they would just. Well,
That's two
I thought
meals.
it was-
That's 2 meals.
Listen, we'll do it whenever Jason finishes
This is
the
so-
ones he
Friday?
owes.
Friday. Are you going to be here Friday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't I owe
You going to
for
be here Friday, Sterling?
Yes, I'll be here Friday.
Dylan, you going to be here Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I owe for American Century, right?
Yeah, I won American Century.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter who wins.
I
Doesn't
finished
matter
dead
who
last.
wins.
I know.
Sterling,
This
the
is-
wins
this is-
don't count.
I'm a
This is
winner.
the safari. This is the jungle, man. Just don't be last.
Yeah, exactly right. We're swimming from one shark.
It's
You
so
don't have-
it's like the Olympics. Like
We're
a
swimming
bronze
from
medal
one
and a
shark
gold
in the
medal
safari.
still count as a medal.
It's still a medal count. It's still a medal. It doesn't matter. Just don't finish fourth. That's exactly right.
Yep.
We don't keep track of medals. We keep track of losses. Okay. If you're not first, you're last. If you're not second or third, you're still last. So 4 and 4, Dylan and Mick, and
Aren't we lockstep with a lot of these?
except for Renfro and Velasquez, which I don't think Dylan they're going to get the over.
I was going to
So
say,
I think
Mick,
you're-
there you go, buddy.
think you're probably
I'll be
good
buying
there.
lunch.
So it's going to be.
And then, well, it could flip on the wins. If they don't get to 75 wins, then Mick would have 5.
I still
So
feel
they
strong.
both have
I
and
still
one.
feel
Dylan
strong.
and Dylan would have 3.
So I'm buying lunch here.
Um,
It's trending that way.
Well, if they get to 75 wins, then you guys would be tied at,
Yeah,
at
we'll
four,
still be.
four
I think
apiece.
one's
Four-
going to happen your way. One's going to happen
I
mine.
see,
We're
okay.
we're
Yeah,
going to
so
be
you,
tied.
those have already been counted. The wins already counted in your favor. The wins have been counted against Mick. So
Okay.
the 4 and 4 includes the Royals getting to 75 wins. The only one that would change who buys is Cole Reagan's wins. That's the only one that would.
So we
flip
need
it.
a goose egg here.
So no more wins for Cole Reagan's in the
They'll
next
probably
7
at least
starts.
6 more starts, right?
Yes.
7.
Then
6
I'd
or
be
7
8
starts.
for 8. I'd get out of 8 then.
If that happened, but
That'd be
I think you're.
that'd be a pretty good.
Nobody cares.
That's 80%.
Yeah, it
You're the
doesn't
only
matter.
person who
Good.
cares.
You also
Nobody cares.
went over on Renfro and Velasquez.
I do that
idiot.
and I'm still that impressive.
Jesus. You went over on Witt's home runs and stolen bases. No chance he was getting a 70.5, you idiot. Oh, we all went over. Never mind. But yeah, so that's kind of the only one left. Sterling's pretty much in the clear because I was looking at the difference between you guys and Sterling. The extra base hits, you guys were different with Sterling, but that's Salvi's already got past that. And then the Will Smith, James MacArthur, and then Michael Waka.
I thought we were in a solid spot last time. What happened?
Yeah, something happened.
Yeah, so I'm not
Salvi
sure what all
happened.
happened. Cole Reagan's
Wins.
was only pacing for 10 the last time, so
Oh, that's right.
he's gotten hot with the wins. So he was pacing for 10 on the season the last time
remember
we did this. Now he's got 10. So that switched it from
Not looking good for
that
us,
was
yeah.
1 point from that wasn't mine and points for all of you that flipped it. That was a rough one. Michael Waka has gone under 3.8 last time we did
He was
this.
at
He was
3.83.
He was 3.83. So that's 2 points that you guys lost, and it's a point that I picked up and Sterling picked up. So yeah, it's been a rough first quarter of the second half for you guys. Sorry about that. You know.
That's equaled good baseball for
Exactly.
the Royals.
So when Mick loses ZOUs,
I will pay for lunch for
the
a playoff
Royals are good.
bid.
It just hasn't been. Mick hasn't had to pay for ZOUs in baseball because the Royals have not been good.
It's a win-win.
So it's a great way of looking at it.
Every time,
really good way of looking at it.
the only time my dad bets is the few times when Oklahoma State's favored over Oklahoma in football.
So he bets on
And he'll
Oklahoma.
bet on Oklahoma.
That's
Love
smart.
it.
An
I love
emotional
it.
hedge,
Yep,
man.
Emotional hedge.
That's exactly right.
Why would you want to be mad and lose money?
That's right. You bet on your team and they lose. Now
Hey,
you're
I
pissed
win
off
either
and
way.
broke.
So
Yep. Now you got less money and you're pissed off. You're double mad.
Yep.
You know, you're doubly frustrated. You know, I don't know that I get doubly frustrated.
And so this is going to be a Friday. If it happens Friday, this is last year's Royals ZOU. Is that
No,
what you
this
owe
is
for?
Chiefs. No, I only owe one more. It's,
I know,
Chiefs.
but so you paid that one. This is for
This
Chiefs.
is for
Gotcha. Okay.
Chiefs. Yep.
What are
This
you
is for
bringing in?
Oh, I don't know. I'll probably see what gift
turkey,
cards we have.
turkey cheese sandwiches.
So
Eagle cheese sandwiches.
So just look at some gift cards we have. Try to figure it out
Yeah,
there.
we should, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that wasn't Mick saying he wants to eat. That was happened in the break. We were talking about that Benjamin. We got in a conversation that Benjamin Franklin proposed the turkey be the national bird, and we're like, what world would we be living
I
in
didn't even hear him say that.
if like
Me or Benjamin Franklin?
No, you just now.
either.
Yeah, actually.
If the turkey was like we'd
Will
be
we
having
be eating
eagle.
eagle every Thanksgiving?
You bring in the ham or the eagle? Well, he typically brings the eagle, so I got the ham. I didn't realize that, okay, that's fine, whatever.
You're at Subway and you order the eagle and Swiss sandwich.
That's right. Oktoberfest, you got the eagle leg sandwiches or the big. You got a big
they're all
drumstick.
skinny.
You got that big eagle leg drumstick. Well, it's just the size of your pinky, but that's fine.
Yeah, you think they looked at the turkey? They had it, and then they were like, "Man, this one is way
This is
fatter
just
and
weird."
easier
Yeah.
to kill over
Yes.
here. Let's just switch. We'll
What
do
if
the
we just
eagle
if we
as the state
ate
bird.
these?
Yeah.
And use that as a symbol.
And why is it that the one we eat all the time isn't almost extinct, but the eagle is being threatened?
The one that we've protected and made a law about doing anything to is the one that we're concerned
We would have
about.
ran out of eating eagles by like 1900.
That's why
That's the
Benjamin
free
Frank.
that's the free market.
It is.
That's the free market.
That's why
right there.
Benjamin Frank's like, I guess we can't.
Yeah, we have too few eagles.
Are
We can't eat
almost
them.
out of a bird? Is there a bird that we're almost out of? Eagles? Let's go with that.
We'll try the dodo.
Let's do with that one. That just sounded dumb though. They're like, you know what? It's about time for the dodo to go by the way of the dodo. All right, we're kind of done with that. But we don't want to lose the eagle. Let's make this a national symbol so we can keep it and have something to be a symbolism for bravery. The eagle, but not the turkey. Let's eat that. Let's do that for Thanksgiving. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit of the Chiefs. They've got their final preseason game tomorrow. It'll be
hard knocked up too. Whoa. It will be hard knocked up. Hard knocks. It's going to be there.
It took me a little bit to register.
Yeah.
But then I got it.
I'll
And
get the hard knock treatment. That's better. You'll get the hard knock treatment.
Still didn't sound
Hard knocked up.
Cold break. Dylan, I need the breaking news sounder. Dylan, breaking news sounder. There's breaking news in the NFL. Breaking news in the NFL. Bottom line scroll at ESPN. Breaking news in the NFL. The Broncos have named Patrick Mahomes their starting quarterback for Week 1. I'm sorry, Sean Payton called him Bo Nix. Sean Payton is starting Bo Nix Week 1. Starting quarterback Bo Nix named the starting quarterback for the Broncos. Otherwise known as Sean Payton saying he reminded him of Patrick Mahomes.
Isn't it so funny? The best quarterback taken in the last decade, maybe in all the decades, is the only one since that has sit his entire rookie year.
Except for the last game, but the point being,
but if he would not have played,
he would not
had they
played.
been
Exactly.
had they needed a win there.
Exactly.
He sat that. He was the backup the entire year.
That's right. And then all these
I think that helped him tremendously. I really do. And of course, the Chiefs were afforded a great situation. They had one of the best quarterbacks. The QBR leader that year, a guy that was good enough to lead them to the playoffs, and it should have been a playoff win that year. A very good quarterback to where he could do that, but he sat the whole year.
It's probably not going to be the same with Sam Darnold, but it would have been great for J.J. McCarthy if Kirk Cousins was still there. Like, it's not the worst thing that J.J. McCarthy. It's not the worst thing that Stefanski, but Vikings head coach
O'Connell.
Thank you. It's not the worst thing that O'Connell can't put McCarthy in there. Like, he doesn't have a choice. Now he's got to have him on the shelf there. So just be there, work, playbook, see what it is to be a pro. If Kirk was still there, and knowing that it's like his last year, if this would have been last year, that would have been perfect for McCarthy. We'll see what Penix does in Atlanta, learning from Kirk.
Well, we saw Peyton Manning's rookie year and how bad that was, which brings up my next point. We need to see Josh Rosen get another opportunity because he might be the next.
Right? I knew you were going there.
Or Trey Lance, maybe. I think that's the.
Or name like 20 dudes.
Yeah.
Who else?
They had their second chances. Trey Lance is on his now. They're holding clipboards.
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
I thought you meant Russell. He needs a third chance. Give Russell a third chance, and he'll beat out Justin Fields.
Absolutely.
Maybe not. We'll find out, though. You know what he's going to be? He'll be working out, though. He'll have everybody in shape. He'll be the leader of that team that they don't want to follow.